Welcome to Spelunkers, a place for exploring video games and nerd culture. This is the game exploration show where we break games into digestible chunks, play through them together with the community, and discuss them in exhaustive detail. I am your host, Chris. I am joined by Ryan.
Good evening, everybody.
Tyler.
Hello.
Tom can't be here, unfortunately. And Kaedhen, special guest from the Great Game Debate. How you doing?
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. We are talking about Cris Tales, everything up until you hit Cinder City or Cinder Town, whichever one it's called.
The City of Cinder.
City of Cinder. So what do you guys think of this first chunk? Let's just do some general thoughts. Let's start with you, Ryan. What do you think?
I'm enjoying my time overall. There's some things to nitpick about this game, but as a lover of classic turn-based JRPGs, this does scratch a good itch.
Cool. Tyler?
Yeah, I love this game. I think it's great. I'm having a great time.
Oh, wow.
So
High praise, especially after you just shit all over Okami on the last one. Just really hated that.
yeah, and maybe that's why I like it so much, because Okami was super not fun for me, but this is like a palate cleanser. This is just like drinking water, just cool and refreshing.
Understandable. Kaedhen, how are you feeling?
This game's just like the classic 7 out of 10 average to me. I think it's like a great idea. Okay, execution. Can't wait to see what they do next. Hopefully they can do a sequel or a spiritual successor. But yeah, so I'm kind of lukewarm.
Yeah, I think surprising to anyone that knows the kind of games I enjoy, I am probably the most negative out of this crew. I really have not enjoyed my time with it. I think a large part of that is the bug with the controller that has had me sitting in an uncomfortable chair so that I can plug it in and unplug it so that I'm close enough to the Xbox to do that. And just the constant unplugging, plugging in, and then it's like, oh, I forgot to unplug it, so let's waste another 3 seconds, plug it in, wait for it to register, push buttons. And they have apparently fixed that with a patch. I have not tested it, but supposedly they fixed that with a patch, and that'll help somewhat. But I think I was just so annoyed by that every little annoyance that the game has became huge.
Yeah, for sure. What is everybody playing on?
Series X. No, not Series X, actually. One X, sorry.
Series S.
Okay. I was playing on an Xbox One S. Yeah. And I was having the same bug as Chris, and I was like, I cannot fucking do this. So I actually paid money for it and bought it on PS5, and it's been great.
Yeah, if you do not have an Elite controller that you can plug in and unplug, or I think Tom found a specific controller that he can plug in and does not have the controller issue, it's really screwed because you have to turn off the controller and turn it back on, which is a 10-second process or something every single time. And battles already, at least on Xbox One X, take 8 seconds to load in and 8 seconds to load out.
You mean it's not triggering your nostalgia for Metal Gear Solid 1? It's not a positive?
And that's the other big takeaway for me is these loading screens are absurd. And I think if they had some sort of animation going into it, even a screen shatter or whatever, a lot of PS1 games did, I don't think it would be as noticeable. But because it just jump cuts to a loading screen and then jump cuts into the battle and then jump cuts back to a loading screen
with her just prancing in the corner.
It's sort of a pet peeve I have with games is just this blinding white screen on loads. It's just
yeah.
Don't you know we play these at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, exactly. It's not so bad on PS5. PS5 the load times are almost non-existent. Yeah. It's a second or two, and then I'm in the battle. So that could be why I've been having so much fun, is I haven't had that same kind of
quality of life counts for
negative interaction. I started off with that, and then immediately when I jumped to PS5, I got back to my spot that I was at on Xbox One within 90 minutes, and I was almost 3 hours in, according to my Xbox One time, because of load times and, constantly having to fuck around with my controller and just everything else. So,
yeah. Yeah, I heard from everyone except Kaedhen that you guys are about 8 hours in. How long did it take you, Kaedhen?
I think my clock is currently at 11 hours, but I definitely like left the game on for like an hour and a half while I watched an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race with my wife. So it's probably about 9.5 hours or so.
Yeah, I have not like left the game idle or anything, and I'm at like 13 and a half hours. And I think
Jeez.
Okay.
that's partially those loading screens, partially taking a lot of notes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a bit of a slog for me. Hopefully the controller bug being fixed will help with the second half. But
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
talk
glad I
about it.
didn't have to deal with that on the Series S at least. I don't know if it was just a last gen thing, but load times, if you're saying 1-2 seconds on PS5, I'm like 3 or 4 on Series S. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just got a Series X, so I could try to transfer my save, and that would probably also help.
Yeah.
But yeah, kicking off right at the beginning, I love this intro cinematic. I mean, I love the art of the game in general. It's just a really unique, awesome art style that really stands out. And we've got a question for that. Rob asks, is the friend of the show, Rob, you all know him, is the art direction something you enjoy or dislike? Has it grown old at this point, or are you excited to see environments?
Just to jump in here, I think for me, the art looks better in stills than it does in motion. And I also feel like the game should have paper in front of its title, Paper Cris Tales.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of I don't know. I've kind of cooled on it as time went on, especially when you get into these sort of dungeon environments, and we can talk about later just how basic the geometry is in there. But yeah, I'm kind of not as hot on the art as I was at first by now.
Yeah, I can see that. It is like I do agree with you that like they could use paper in the title. Not only is this game clearly very inspired by Paper Mario with its combat system and stuff, but also, I mean, literally, there's like what looks like little dash marks to cut out or whatever of paper. It looks like a paper craft
it's like
world.
crafty. Yeah,
Is really interesting.
see, it's cloth and felt for me, like that's stitching
I see that.
the grasses together. But I can see the Paper Mario influence, obviously. I'm not like as hot on the art as I was when I first started. I still like it, but I just don't know that it has the same pop in my eyes. You know, when I come to a new place, I'm like, oh, this is still nice.
there
But
is
it's
an
not like,
element
"Oh."
of sort of too much in some of the environments. Like there's just so much different shapes and colors, and it has that like Samurai Jack Powerpuff Girl styles where they don't actually use a lot of like outlines, so things can bleed together a lot. So sometimes in some environments there are definitely times when I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So
Mhm.
I love it.
Hey, I'm
Uh,
glad you're here,
yeah.
Tyler. Somebody needs to be really excited about the game. I know you like
Yeah,
it too,
you know,
Ryan,
I'm
but-
really
Yeah.
completely changing my tone around from the last episode. I was like, yeah, I love it. I think the art's great. It reminds me of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, if anybody's ever seen that old cartoon. Very thin outlines and very straight designs for all the architecture. It's very straightforward and minimalistic in a really cool way. I think all the colors pop really well. I think it's great to look at. There are some areas that we go to in this section that were amazing. I just love looking at them.
do you think
Tyler's happy to be back at work.
I am. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a game I like playing. Cool, great.
Do you think you might like it more if it was straight up 2D instead of like the 2.5D?
Yeah, the second that you said it looks better in stills versus in motion, I was like, yeah, 100%. I think the movement looks like garbage, but overall the art direction I think is great. I love the way that everything is designed. I love the character designs, but yeah, the way that they move through the world ain't great. It's not great, but just their overall design I think is really cool and unique, and the way that everything just kind of flows together. And I really love, you know, we haven't really even got into it yet, but the whole thing of seeing how something looks as it kind of converts through time. That aesthetic will never get old for me. I love time jumps. I love anything that has to do with time travel. It's like one of my favorite things in any kind of fiction. So
Hell yeah, dude.
just seeing that stuff constantly is just, it's always a blast for me. I love it.
Yeah, I'll say I'm a little more finicky on time travel. It really depends. Like, it is most often for me done in a way that just doesn't make sense, and I have to completely remove myself from caring about these characters and stuff to be like, okay, well, whatever. Just whatever's happening in this game, it doesn't make sense, but it's fine. Just pay attention to characters and stuff, but not the overarching story. But I don't think it's done anything like wrong here. I think it's been done really well so far. the time travel part of it. And we have another little set dressing question from Rob that kind of gets into that mechanic. What are your thoughts on turn-based RPGs in general? And do you think this game does anything in its combat to truly set it apart? Or is the split between different time periods solely a gimmick that adds little to give it a valuable distinction?
I adore turn-based RPGs. They're probably my second favorite genre of video games. I don't know that its combat like truly sets itself apart, but it is at least some kind of valuable distinction. There is more interesting strategic things to think about playing with time the way this game has you do it, especially when we get a character we meet later, Joker, who allows you to flip-flop which side of the battlefield people are on. There's something there, but I wouldn't use like revolutionary or groundbreaking or anything, but it is good.
I would say it does just enough to set itself apart from other games, but it's still very baseline, RPG, turn-based RPG. And, the Paper Mario combat to me never gets old. I think that's the best form of that because it's the most interactive of the turn-based style of combat. And that's like the one, if I'm going to play a turn-based style game, I want to have one that's interactive. Like I'm currently playing Bug Fables at the same time I'm playing this.
Nice.
And it's just a fucking blast, being able to time those parries and those defensive maneuvers and time those perfect attacks. It never gets old to me. And then the time travel stuff, there are, like Ryan said, unique things that you can do with it. And I think that in of itself is good enough. But that system is so perfect as it is. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to come up with a system that's going to be better than what's been established at this point.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll say in comparing to Paper Mario, I like that in Paper Mario, and I don't know if this is the case in Bug Fables, which is also very Paper Mario inspired. Like you have a lot of different commands. It's not always just push A when you hit the guy, whereas in this game it's always push A when you hit the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for myself, I love JRPGs, turn-based. Not RPG specifically, but turn-based. But I think Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door is probably my favorite turn-based
Amazing
combat
game.
system, and I just feel like compared to that, this game lacks like a certain there's just something to like the timing and feedback, like the oomph of like the hits and the timing that it just doesn't feel quite there for me. And as much as I think like the time mechanics in combat, which maybe we can get more into that later, is clever, I just feel like after a certain point in the game, you can just kind of steamroll through battles with attacks that don't require you to even mess with the time mechanics at all, especially when it comes to boss fights. I've been really disappointed on how unnecessary it is to mess with the time mechanics in boss fights so far, but that's just me. So
Yeah, I'll say I'm definitely with you in terms of like the timing thing not feeling as good as other games that do it. It's like it took me a long time to get used to where the timing is because it doesn't feel like it's exactly when you hit, and when that's the case, you don't feel like an extra impact from hitting the button when you hit the enemy.
Yeah, I still have no idea how to time Wilhelm's strike appropriately. So I don't think
it's impossible.
I don't think I will. Christopher, I'm a master with him at this point.
nice.
But everybody else, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, I actually have a question for you guys. On the little seedling things that I can't remember the name of now.
Oh yeah. The Yucca something.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a timing on those? Because I keep getting a good on every
Only
single
on-
one, but
The ones that explode have a
Yeah.
timing, and I have not been
I have
able
not
to figure
found
it out at
Yeah, me
all.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Okay.
it exists, I don't know.
that's fair.
I know that the scan one does not, and I know that the poison one does not as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the explosion one. I keep saying good, and I'm like, am I supposed to be timing
Yeah.
this? But yeah, and I'll also, since Rob asked about the time mechanic, I think they do use it in interesting ways that we'll talk about throughout here. But like you were talking about, Kaedhen, the further I've gotten in, the less like interesting it's become. I was really blown away by it at the beginning for several fights with the interesting things they do, but it just becomes another piece of a bigger tool set, and it's not really the focus after a little while for me. So in this intro, I thought this intro was really weird. because you play through a part of the game that's going to come like an hour later, but you don't have your powers, and then
Yeah.
it's like it's supposed to be a tutorial, but then they redo the tutorial later when you do
It
these same
just
exact
doesn't
battles.
feel good.
I don't get
like
it.
the way it's set up. Yeah.
So yeah, you're like in the field that's on fire, and you're fighting some basic enemies, and then you fight the like twin ladies, but then it like cuts off in the middle of that fight to go to a title card and take you to the actual beginning of the game. And it's like, I'm a fan of games starting you in the action, and then even if they're gonna do like in media res or whatever and go back to the beginning, I think that's fine. But because it's so close to where you start the game and they don't let you actually access the tools you're gonna have access to at that point of the game, it feels off to me.
And then once you get back to the point the game actually started at, there's another title card, so that like introduces the game twice. It's just like, okay.
By Hideo Kojima. Tyler, feel free to cut in at any point and say positive things. They're positive things.
I mean, I agree. I thought that shit sucked. I did not like having to do that part twice.
It's a fair argument, absolutely.
I
still like the game. It just that shit sucked. I mean,
I do want to give a special shout out to like the flash animation bouncing breasts of the twin lady bosses. That just looks so bad. It's like detached from their body. It just does not look right.
I barely noticed. I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah, I also did not even notice that at all.
Okay.
If I noticed it, I forgot that I noticed it.
Sure.
All right, so in Nareem Town, what stands out to you guys about this section? The whole chasing after the frog, the fight in the fields while it's on fire, meeting Wilhelm.
I got my hand raised.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Crispell is a really fucking stupid name.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
That's the worst name for any character ever. It sucks. Hate it. And then I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Then you meet Christopher, and at some point, somebody's like, "You're Chris, and you're Chris. Are you related?"
It's literally
no, we're not.
What? I don't even remember that. That's
that happened at some point.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys.
It's not good. I hate her name.
Yeah, I don't like her name, and I'm not like a big fan of her character so far. She's like meek one second, and then bold the next second, and then goes back to being meek again. I don't really get her character. She doesn't really have an arc. It seems like she's spiking up and down repeatedly.
The voice acting's great though. Right off the bat, I'm noticing high quality voice acting. Sounds great. Also, the music. I don't know if we've mentioned, but I've loved every note we've gotten so far.
Oh yeah, I have that written down as well. Music is
nice,
really good.
Yeah, the music is very good for sure, and I think the voice acting is good, but there's either bad voice direction or a lack of voice direction, because it seems like characters randomly change tones to something that doesn't match what they're saying, so they haven't gotten the input of here's what you're responding to, how you should sound.
Right. Yeah, it's just like a static statement that they're just saying to nothing.
Yeah. I guess in this section we have the first instance of having to choose between multiple possible outcomes of your actions, and you identify, I guess, two buildings that have some kind of mold in them that's going to destroy them in the future, and you make some
ash blight.
Yeah,
call it.
You get some potion that's going to magically just destroy all the mold in the house somehow, and you have to choose between two buildings. And it's like the first instance in the game of just being like, okay, I don't really know how this is going to affect the game based on what choice I pick. Oh, it doesn't really affect anything at all, and I'm going to forget about it instantly. So
yeah, that one does not.
Reaction to it.
Yeah, I think the later ones are affecting things, as far as I can tell. There's something, I read something about a true ending if you do everything correctly or whatever, but I don't know what it is. And I know I have not done everything correctly, especially in Saint Clarity we'll get to. I really effed that up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. What else stands out to you guys here?
How do you guys feel about Matthias?
He's a frog, right? I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Frog.
I only hate him because of how they chose to tie him into the time shifting mechanics. But if that wasn't a thing, I would love him.
Not good.
Yeah, why don't we get into that?
Yeah,
I don't even know that it's because they utilize him that way, but because of how they utilize him that. Like, if he was the vehicle by which we jumped back and forth through time outside of combat, that could be okay, but he moves so slow, he can't travel back and forth unless he's right next to Crispell, and he is so much slower than Chris Bell. So every time you get to a place and you want to jump, you have to stand there for multiple seconds and wait for Matthias to catch up so you can jump over.
And then if you're like me, you just press the button to time shift anyway, even though he's not there because you forgot about it, and then the game pauses and slowly brings up a dialogue window reminding you that you can't time shift unless Matthias is next to you, and then you have to exit out of that, and then you have to wait for him to catch up for you, and then you can time shift.
Yeah.
And he moves really slow, and he's exploring the past and the future. It's just like,
and he can't go that far away from you when he's in the past and the future. It's like a set distance that he can go,
and then you have to hop slowly back to Chris Bell.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't get that far away. Well, you are useless, frog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. I don't know that it would be a problem even if he moved faster. If he could only go so far, jump in and out, if we
why doesn't he just ride on her shoulder?
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Also,
yeah.
Like, they could have just let Chris Bell's character model just shift into the alternate time and just not let her interact with anything. Like, in my head, the perfect way to do this is have transitioning between the past and the future on the shoulder buttons, and it would just happen instantly. And, like, the facet of the screen in the middle would just rotate. So, like, it would go, like, the present's in the center, then it rotates to the future in the center, the other thing is, if you're in the past, you can't go from the past to the future. You have to go to the past to the present and then to the future. Same if you're in the future trying to go. It's just like, I feel like they intentionally sat down and were like, how can we make this mechanic as annoying as possible?
Yeah, there's a lack of quality of life. I mean, I think in general in this game, it is technically an indie game, right? I don't know if it's published by anyone. I know it has a retail copy like on the shelf, but I don't know who published that or whatever. What stands out to me about that mechanic that's annoying is there's a lot of times in this game where there's a very specific order of operations that you have to do, or you will not be able to do a thing. Like, I saw those effing flowers in St. Clarity. I very clearly wanted to grab them, but you have to get the quest first. So other things that stand out for me here, I really like, even though that story really doesn't matter which side you pick for the Ash Blight, I like that with the triangle thing, the game is telling you stories just through the environments. Like, you can see two people standing together, and then you move to the left and you see them in the future, and one of them's old, but they're alone now, implying the other one's dead, or they've not become friends anymore or whatever. I think that stuff is really fun.
Sure.
Yeah, environmental storytelling is always great, and they can set it up really great here.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Wilhelm? We met Wilhelm here.
I think Wilhelm's cool.
Wilhelm's probably my favorite character.
Yeah, he's
the only one that really has his shit together.
Yeah. And the snappy one-liners gets back to Christopher.
Yeah.
Dory actually asked a question about that, if I could find it. Who are some of your favorite characters and why? Feel free to take from later in the game or whatever too. Just who do you like?
Yeah, Wilhelm and Christopher's dad. I like Wilhelm and Christopher's dad a lot. I can't remember Christopher's dad's name, but just the way that you interact with them and like the story that is being told through them, I think is really fun and interesting. Wilhelm being a time mage, and they're always like, why do you look so young? He's like, I'm a fucking time mage. I can look however old I want to look. Exactly. I think it's really cool. And like, he's always just a smart ass, but he's also the most intelligent. And so it gives him like reason to be the smart ass of the group. And I find him to be the most useful in combat because I use his scan ability to find out all the different, weaknesses and stuff. And I think it's great. He's super fun.
Yeah, I would agree. Wilhelm's my favorite lines in this game. The combat, I do the scan, the group heal, the group boosting.
Oh yeah.
I can't hit that freaking critical attack for a damn, but the spells go great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at least it's not too big of a deal when you miss his critical timing on his basic attack, because it does like shit all for damage. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, true.
But for me, for the most part, a lot of the cast has kind of not really stood out that much to me, and a lot of characters are just kind of gone after you get by. But yeah, Wilhelm stands out. Just from like a character design point, I really love the weapon shopkeeper. She's just this like cat girl in like a giant suit of plate mail, but she has like no character development at all, but the character design's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in the same camp of I really like Wilhelm. I really like his dialogue with Christopher, because Christopher's an idiot. It's like me. No, he's an idiot, and Wilhelm points it out constantly with some really great lines that I think I have written down in here.
Oh, nice.
Some of them, because it is. I mean, Wilhelm's got some sick
Oh,
freaking burns.
he embarrasses him all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly, and I love it.
And then I also like the character we just got near the end of the section. What was their name? They just call him K or something, right?
Oh yeah,
Joker, JKR. I started
Okay,
calling him
yeah.
Joker.
they just call him
Yeah.
K, but yeah, it's J
Yeah.
here.
But I always like, like a stoic, quiet character. He kind of reminds me of Orin from Final Fantasy X.
Sure.
I also like the innkeepers for the different areas. It's like a
Yeah.
robot for no fucking reason.
I'm not running a charity here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that does some world building as well in St. Clarity, with like the 1.0 robot in the flooded district and the 2.0 in the fancy walled district.
Yeah.
There's also like a random pickup truck there at one point.
Yeah, it's like,
just-
what is the level of like you guys
Yeah,
have
it's like I have
like,
no idea what
robots
this world
and-
is.
androids and mechs, but you don't have firearms? Like, what's like?
Yeah,
can I get a
it's-
gun, please? Like, what?
Very strange.
This is an anime world, clearly.
Yeah.
So we fight the boss for real, and this is the first time that the shield lady, the twins or whatever,
Mhm.
this is the first time that time really comes into play in a really interesting way, where you have to wet their shields with Christopher's water attack and then take it to the future to rust it. That was in the demo as well, and that's what really made me be like, I need to play this
Okay,
game
cool.
because this is so cool, the way that I am transforming this enemy by sending them to the future and making them vulnerable.
Yeah, I didn't play the demo, but I thought this was fun. I like their design. These two are extremely cocky, and it feels good to kick them
Yeah.
down a little bit.
So, do you get the sword before you fight them again?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I did have a note where it feels like Crispell has like sort of like a magical girl transformation when she gets the sword, but it
Yes.
just happens instantly with no fanfare at all, and it's just like, was this supposed to be like an important, like impactful moment, and it just isn't. So, and she just has a completely different look after that.
Yeah, that was really weird, the whole getting the sword thing. You go into some like weird pocket dimension and grab the
Yeah.
sword, and then your
Yeah,
look
next to
completely
Wilhelm's
changes.
house,
because
he's like,
video
"Yeah,
games.
go grab this sword. It'll increase your power." It's like, okay,
And then she just knows how to fight really well suddenly.
yeah.
Anything else from this section stand out to you? I'll say Mother Superior. Like, I think we're supposed to like her, but she's really mean to Crispell throughout that
Yeah.
entire section.
Really cool character design, though. I like the way she looks
Yeah.
a lot.
Mm.
I think her character is cool looking.
Yeah, I think this area was pretty bland. Honestly, I think the cities coming up are a little more interesting, but
Mhm.
for
Yeah,
tutorial,
100%.
this is just a basic tutorial city, bare
Sure.
bones.
Yeah, there's some like fun political intrigue here with like the mayor is obviously corrupt. You can see him in the future, and his house is. Well, actually, you don't see him in the future. You see his secretary that is presumably taken over because that's her master plan. She probably works for the Time Empress. Time Empress, is that her name?
Yep.
Yeah. She lives in the Gilded House, and the mayor's obviously, he does not care for the farmland.
Mhm.
Some good political themes throughout this game, actually, that I really enjoy. That we'll get into more in St. Clarity. So after that section, any last words on? Or we can always come back if you.
Well,
something.
I guess by this point you've had experience with the world map because you're having to run between the city, the starting town, and the forest where Wilhelm
Mhm.
lives.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but the world map in this game feels like you could just completely take it out. It like just does not add anything. It's just like wasting more time getting between the city and the forest. Like it could just have you leave a certain exit on the city and it takes you to the forest with no overworld. That's my opinion on the world. I don't know if you guys feel differently about it. Like I would just love if it was not in the game at all. But
What if I told you you could ride down the river in a shoe?
I do like that. I'll say I like the look on the overworld. It's unique and different than the rest of the game. So like, but I think I agree with you. Like they could have, even if they wanted the overworld, they could have just had it be like a, what is it, Persona 3 kind of overworld where you just have your character standing on the town and then you move them over to the next town and go in or whatever.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it serves no purpose. I mean,
Yeah.
it just
That's it.
It really doesn't. I mean, the only purpose it serves is to like geographically tell you where certain things are located compared to
Sure.
others, but I mean that's world building in and of itself. But it's not necessary, you know. It's not like we're like, hey, where's St. Clarity compared to whatever the first place is? You know,
Nareem.
nobody. Yeah, Nareem. Nobody gives a shit that it's over here versus over there. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't. But what about that one chest you get after you get the shoe?
Heyo.
That's true. That's true.
There's
Yeah.
two chests.
There's two?
There's
Shit.
two chests.
Beside them like a potion that you're never gonna
Yeah.
use.
I use the mana potions quite a bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh,
Everything else, though, that's like
I'm
take
not
it or leave it.
I'm that very terrible meme person, and every meme that I save all my potions and I never use them. And it's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
those probably would have been more useful if I had used them early on instead of saving them for the last boss that I'm also not going to use them against.
I use them all the time, just because I feel like the enemies in this game do a lot of damage if you do not block well.
Yeah, if you don't get the blocks for sure, the game is challenging, I think. If you're getting the blocks, you're probably fine. But
And I can never get blocks with certain characters for some reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Some of the attacks are weird. Like there's a creature later in the game that has an attack where it like roars and then it lunges forward for a bite. And the timing to block it is when it roars, not when it closes its mouth and clamps its jaws to bite you. And it took me forever.
That makes no
to do
sense.
It's like what, like who, why?
Yeah.
that's weird.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we are now on a mission to meet all the Mother Superiors, go to all the churches, pray. We have our MacGuffin, classic JRPG kind of structure. Go out
Yep.
to each of these towns and find your MacGuffin.
Time for pilgrimage.
Yep, sacred pilgrimage. Exactly. I do like this mechanic that they do between each area where you like camp with your buddies and you get to
Yeah, that's
talk to them
nice.
about what happened in the last area.
I've camped once. Once I saw the price for tents, I was like,
Oh,
let me
like
save
that
those
camp.
for me.
Right, yeah. I'm talking about like where
Like
it
a
forces you to
story.
camp though, and you're
Yeah,
talking to
okay,
Christopher and Wilhelm.
You get a few of those.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yes,
But I think
I've
you
also
can do
only
that.
used-
Sorry, I think you can do that anytime you plant a tent, right?
Can you?
Like I said, I've only done it once, so I'm
I've
not
actually
entirely
never
sure.
used a tent, so I don't know if
Okay.
it triggers a camping or not. Like the sequence where you can talk to everyone.
Tyler, did you use a tent?
Yeah, but that was like 10 days ago, man. I don't know.
I do believe I used the tent, and I,
I just
don't
remember,
think it
wow,
does
these are
that.
super fucking expensive. And then
So
I
it's
just
just
was
like a
over 'em.
scripted event at certain
Okay.
points in the story, and the tents just heal you.
Yeah, I think
points.
the camping thing is definitely a scripted thing because you have one in the lady Paulina
lady.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't
In the
remember,
lady, yeah.
statue, and then you have one as you go into the forest, and I
Mhm.
think there might be one other one.
Yeah, because
But
every time
those
you
ones
have,
are scripted for sure.
Yeah.
It's like before a big event, like a fight or something.
yeah, because every time you have one too, you have one of those weird dreams about the Time Empress and your mother and whatever is
Yes.
going on there that we don't yet completely understand.
Because the Time Empress is your aunt, and your mom is her sister, and that's your related. That's it.
Yeah,
the
that's what it
story.
seemed like to me. But like Chris Bell seemed to take away that the Time Empress was her mom, and I was like, where'd you get
I
that?
also kind of thought that, but maybe the time her mom turned into the Time Empress, and she's
Yeah.
trying to put that together.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe she is the Time Empress. It's her from the future.
Oh no!
That would actually be a cool twist. Maybe I don't
That
know.
would be.
If they
That
did it well.
explains why she never kills Chris Bell, since she can literally teleport anywhere at any time and is way overpowered compared to Chris Bell. so-
Yeah, this Time Empress has some serious like classic villain hubris.
Yeah.
Like I don't need
Yeah,
to
I'm not
kill
trying to
you
like
right
jump
now.
ahead, but like when they make you fight her at that one point, and I was just like, "Why are you doing this? Don't embarrass me like this." I get it. She can kick my ass. Don't make me realize this. I already know.
And 2 turns later.
Yeah. So we go to Evergreen Forest right now. That's the next little section. It's the first like kind of dungeon structure. Kaedhen, I know you had something to say about these dungeons.
Yeah, it's just so basic. It's like the geometry of the areas, like it's not an open environment you can run around in. You're stuck on paths, and the paths themselves are just flat, and there's ramps that are just 45-degree angles and then flat again, and the textures on the ground are just completely flat and smooth, and it's just like, wow, this is lame. And then I also was extremely surprised that when you transition from a town to a dungeon area, the whole time shifting mechanic between the past and the future just goes out the window. Like you don't even do that at all in a dungeon, and that just really feels like a missed opportunity for like puzzles that involve time shifting, you know. So
Yeah, I mean they add in time shifting puzzles a little bit later when you get that glove, but it's definitely it feels absent as soon as you get into a dungeon. That those God, what's the word?
yeah, I don't really know what to call them. Windows, triangular
yeah.
windows.
Yeah, but like the lack of them there is striking for sure.
That's a good point because constantly being able to see the past and the future environment really livens it up and creates a lot of visual interest as you're trying to see how things are changing. So that's just gone. It's just a much more boring environment, at least to me.
Yeah, in the first little dungeon area, for whatever reason, the frame rate was absolute shit for me.
Yeah.
So, don't know why. That was weird. It was fine other than that, you know.
Did anyone have any problems with like the encounter rate where sometimes it'd be like every 3 or 4 steps you'd have an encounter?
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
then other
and I think that's why I was
times-
getting my ass kicked all the time, is because it was like, wow,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fighting going on in this game.
Well, it's tough in the first dungeon because at first I was like, oh, this game's gonna be hard. I need to buckle up. And then you get, I think it's Cris Tales to level 5 or something, and she learns heal, and you're like,
Exactly.
oh, okay, no big deal. I'll just heal now. But what was I lost my train of thought. So somebody else talk. I'll remember. Sorry.
No, I'm 100% with you. Like, I was like, this game is really fucking hard in a way I didn't expect until you get heal, and then it's like, oh, well, she has like a ton of MP and nothing to do with it except heal, so
Yeah.
that's easy.
Until you start getting that speed boost, and then speed boosting Christopher and just
Yeah.
water everywhere,
Yep.
fire all over the place, just killing everybody.
That's true.
my strat.
I
Anyways.
still haven't had like problems with MP though. I still like, I think everybody's always above half, and I feel like I'm being pretty loose with it.
I have ran out a handful of times.
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
with Cris Tales, because like when you get the speed boost and stuff, it's a lot of MP. I think the speed boost is like 15 or something, and then the other one, there's one that I think slows down enemies, and it's like 26. It's I mean, it's pricey.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
use
you
that
get a lot
against
of
bosses,
MP.
but not against regular enemies. The slowdown, the speed up I'll use against like a big fight.
Yeah.
Does slowdown even work against most of the bosses?
No,
Of course.
I feel
Why
like it
would
worked
it?
against the one in like Enzo. I think it worked against, but maybe not.
Oh, really? Cool.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's like non-human bosses it doesn't work against.
Ah.
At least I know I use it a lot, and every time I try to use it on a boss, it did not work. I don't know if I tried to use it on Enzo,
Yeah,
but I know a couple of the other bosses I tried to use it on and it didn't work. I was like,
that was
okay,
my experience.
Go figure, you know.
Yeah, that sucks. That always sucks. In any RPG where you get status ailment stuff and it just does not work against bosses, that's always terrible. I think the poison has worked against every boss, which is where you get the second instance of me being like, that's a really cool way to use the time effect, where you can poison an enemy and then send them to the future and they take all the poison damage instantly, which is just like, yeah, duh, that makes a lot of sense and it's very cool.
Or like you can plant the one that'll affect everybody, send them to the future, and instead of having to wait 3 rounds of combat for it to go off, it goes off immediately.
Well, since we're talking about that, my favorite thing to do is you plant scan and then you send scan to the future. And if you send scan to the future, or if like it's in the past and you send it to the present, it will scan every form of that enemy, past, present, and future. So you get all their weaknesses all at once, and you know how much HP all the different versions of that enemy have. And I think that's like chef's kiss. So good. Like, thank you.
I did not know it worked that way. I've been wasting a lot of time scanning a lot.
Yeah, you get all 3 in one, and it's like, oh, this works great. Like,
The thing about the combat with that was sort of annoying to me is that in combat, so your party is in the center of the screen. You have enemies on the left and the right, and you can only send enemies on the left to the past, and you can only send enemies on the right to the future. So if there's an enemy that you want to scan like that, but they're on the left side of the screen, you're just shit out of luck. Like,
yeah, you gotta have just 2 Cris Tales turns.
Yeah. You gotta send them to the pass first, then plant it, and then break the pass crystal.
Too many.
Same with like not even with scan, but like with poison or with the bombs, like having to always send to the past first and then send to the future, and it's like, oh great, now I got to spend 6 time points or whatever it's called.
Yeah, CP.
CP.
I don't
Was
know
that
what
Crispell
stands for.
points?
Crispell.
Chrissy points. It's just frustrating. It's like it's so redundant. Like don't make me do that. And then obviously when they give you K or whatever the robot's name is later on, that changes it up. But I don't think his moveset is fun enough to keep him in the party, anyways. So.
Yeah, same. I ditched him.
Yeah, I also ditched him pretty quickly. Like, we'll talk about it when we get that character.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I also got a lot of frame rate drops in this one dungeon, but not really anywhere else. I don't know why that was. Like, same with you, Tyler. Did you get frame drops anywhere else or just here?
No, it was just here. Yeah, it was as far as I noticed. Everything else, like even on PS5, I had frame rate issues here. It was very weird, but every place else it was so smooth. I mean, great, had no issues.
Yeah, I feel like scan is like vital. I'm glad that I think it was Dory that posted in our Discord about that scan thing, and that's how you learned about it, Ryan. That's also how I learned about it because I hadn't even started the game when she posted that, and I knew it from the beginning. Thank goodness. Because being able to see enemies' HPs is so important to me in an RPG. Any RPG where that's not even an option is just immediate huge turnoff. So I'm glad that it's fairly easy to get the health bars to pop up. You just got to waste a couple turns.
How do you feel about Monster Hunter?
I think that's a little bit different because it's action and because I'm usually playing with 2 to 3 friends and we're more focused on just shooting the shit, being dumb. But yeah, I don't play Monster Hunter solo probably for that reason. Do they have health bars in Monster? This is a huge tangent. Do they have health bars in Monster Hunter Stories too?
So
that
the way that works is the first time you fight a monster, it doesn't have a health bar, but after you kill it once, it has a health bar every other time. So it seems like a dumb thing, like just give it a health bar, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you've learned.
You don't know that thing.
Yeah, you've learned from that fight. You gain the knowledge.
That means every boss you fight, though, you don't know how much health they have until you've killed them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
At least they have like physical traits, right, that you can see if you're doing damage.
Yeah, limping,
something
stuff. Yeah.
Anyways, now we get to there's a wolf boss fight here. I guess you can call it a boss fight, but I mean, it's
like scripted, right? Like
you can't win it. I don't think.
Yeah, it just resolves after a few turns.
Oh,
did you die? I mean, did you kill anything?
I guess I thought I did, but I don't know.
No,
it resolves once you hit a certain health point.
Yeah. Crispell just like does some super attack and.
Yeah, her crystals randomly break, which I didn't really understand how that worked.
Yeah, it made no sense at all. Because they're not even on the screen at the time, so it's like okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I guess they are because you're in combat, but like when you're in the dungeon, they're not on the screen. So it's just like that was so weird.
Yeah, because it exits the battle and like plays a little cutscene of her breaking her crystal supposedly, and then you're in the dungeon and she's like, "Oh no, my crystal power is gone." But it's like it looks.
It's
exactly
like it's kind of been gone this whole time we've been in here, except for when we've been fighting. So whatever.
All right, so St. Clarity we come to, and I'll go ahead and throw this question out now from Dory. What's been your favorite town? You can include the last one that we aren't yet at.
What's the one after St. Clarity? I can't remember the name of it, but that one, Snow One, very fucking cool. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at Neva Tulira.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that one was really cool. I like that one.
I aesthetically really like Cindertown. I'm tired of snow. My life.
I don't even think I walked into Cindertown. Like I walked in and it was like save, done.
I walked in and I was like, ooh, lava.
Didn't even look at it. Just I got out of it.
I'm out of here. I don't know where the save point is.
But lava. You're spoiling it. Didn't even.
Oh no, it's Cindertown. Are you kidding me?
I guess I do kind of like St. Clarity aesthetically. There's something that like is triggering my like Mega Man Legends nostalgia about it. I think it's just like the tall walls. But I gotta say, like all the towns in this game really annoy me because they have a bad habit of placing the shopkeeper really far away from the entrance, and it's the most egregious in St. Clarity. So it's like when I'm in a dungeon and I grind enough gold to upgrade my weapons, I gotta run through the open world, get into the town, then I gotta run all the way up the wall, and it's this huge ramp, and then there's a load screen to the next part of town, and then you talk to the shopkeeper, and then you gotta run all the way back out to get back to the dungeon. It's like,
and it's more like a jog than a run, really.
The movement speed.
This game could use a run button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think St. Clarity is the worst for that because like
Yeah.
going from the flooded area to like the upper echelon where all the rich people live, that's way too many steps, way too many stairs, and you have to make that climb a lot. And like
Yeah.
I feel like in the other cities at this point, everything is much more streamlined, and it's like, okay, here's a straight line. I'm gonna go in and out of the city. Boom. Okay, there's a couple of steps, but it's tiered up enough to where it doesn't feel like, oh, I am walking for fucking ever to get to anything.
Yeah.
So
Oh, can we talk about the like micro open world between the northern exit from St. Clarity to like the beach where the giant statue is? That takes like a second
Yeah.
to run through. It's like, why is this here? Like, why didn't you just transition from the town into the beach? Like, why is there a
Yeah.
tiny open? It's
Yeah,
That is
no
the
reason for that.
epitome of why open world, why any of this
Yeah.
overworld.
yeah.
Absolutely. I think St. Clarity is probably my favorite city, like story wise at least.
Hmm.
I really like the
Yeah.
juxtaposition of the ultra wealthy and the ultra poor. This section is what like I really like Christopher's dad, but I hate Christopher and I hate Christopher's mom. Christopher's mom literally preaches at a point about trickle down economics.
Yeah.
And then Christopher is like embarrassed that his dad is fighting for equality. So fuck both of those
Bunch of
characters.
losers.
But what else stands out about St. Clarity here?
Oh,
Lot of-
okay. So, in the entrance to the city, it's the lower level of the city where all the poor people live, and water floods through that area of the city periodically. It like comes up to your ankles, and like it's very inconvenient. I guess all the people live on like stilted walkways and stuff. But I bring this up because on top of all of the inconvenience between running back and forth this long path to get to the top of the town, whenever the water floods, it pushes you away from the direction you're trying to go. So if you're trying to run up to the top level of the city to get to the shopkeeper and the water floods, it just takes even longer. It's like,
In the city, it just slows you down more. In the dungeon, it actually pushes you away.
Yeah.
So in a puzzle, but yeah, it's already slow. Why?
Yeah.
I do love though, like as you walk and you see into the future how that whole area was actually flooded, and
Mhm.
like just knowing like, oh, in the future this is bad, and like it actually won't let you go into the future in those sections,
Mhm.
but you can go into the future when you get up top, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Which is weird because we go into the future as a frog who
Mhm.
presumably
Yeah.
could be underwater.
An amphibian.
Right?
there's a lot of dead people in there though.
Yeah, he's probably gonna catch a disease.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Uh,
gross stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
We also
on the-
meet Anzi,
sorry,
the
go.
inventor here. You guys have thoughts on her? She like built that robot that killed a bunch of people, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not
Otacon.
cool. But she didn't do it knowing it was going to kill people, to be fair.
that's true.
Somebody else came through, Enzo, you dirty dog, and messed with it. So,
Mhm.
Chris, earlier you mentioned the flowers,
Yes.
and this game has a real propensity for having a side mission like be picked up in a dungeon area, but then you've got to go collect the things in the city and then bring them back to the dungeon. And we've already mentioned how tedious kind of traveling around the world is, so just add that into all the side missions you're
but that's
also doing.
part about that side quest, though. Is it's like, hey, go to this other foresty area and talk to me, and then go pick all these flowers, and then go back to the original foresty area that you were at, like at the very beginning,
Yes.
for no
Yeah.
fucking
Mhm.
reason.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's technically a memorial, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I hope you remembered that shrine was there. I could see somebody forgetting that if they put the game down for a
Oh,
while.
I did,
Yeah, I did.
Mhm.
and so I had to look it up.
Oh,
was
you
like,
forgot.
where- Yeah, I was like, where is this shrine at? And then
That's fair.
Yep,
It's like-
even further back.
Yeah, and then you have to go talk to the guy again to complete your
Again.
quest. And
Yeah.
none of the quests I've given like worthwhile rewards. I've just kept doing them because the game punishes you story wise if you do not do them.
doesn't
you get
one of
bad
them give
endings.
you the trinkets though for your weapons?
Yeah, there's
charms?
one that
That's true.
gives one trinket.
That's not something. Yeah, you get like the main 3 as part of the story.
Yeah, but there's a side quest that gives you
Yeah.
a fourth one.
A fire
Yes.
one, I think, one that is
Yeah.
burns.
There's one that also there's a side quest that just gives you an extra copy of one you already have. It's just like
Yeah,
Yeah, that was super frustrating.
yeah.
yeah. I think
remember
you mentioned it, Tyler, in the Discord, but like you get the achievement for getting all of the keychains when you get that fourth one. Like, there's not a lot of variety.
Yeah, there's only
Oh,
four.
that's it. There's only.
That's
I have achievements turned off, so I didn't know. That's it. I was looking
Yeah.
forward to more. Dang.
yeah. There's a fire, poison,
Uh,
attack
Piercing.
boost, and piercing. Yeah.
I do
The
gotta
attack
say,
boost comes at a defensive cost. So
I do give a shout out to the flame one. My thing is, I've got my accessories set up where Cris Spell purposefully has the lowest speed, so she always goes last, so I could set up with the time combos or whatever. But I've got the flame keychain on Wilhelm, so he will usually go like twice before Cris Spell goes. So I'll just attack them with a regular attack to put flame on them, and then I'll hit them with his poison attack, and then I'll do Cris Spell send them into the future, so they just take like a massive like damage over time from both the fire and the poison. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. I don't think I've sent anyone
sweet.
to the future after burning them, but
Yeah.
it makes sense that works the same way as poison.
Yeah.
So what else in St. Clarity here stands out to anybody?
That's where I think we get our first introduction that this world has advanced technology like androids and robots, I guess. I don't know if they showed up earlier than that.
nope,
Yeah, I think
that's
this is like where we get the first in.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got
So-
that mission to go.
I think before this town, I thought this was just like straight fantasy, and then once you get here, you're like, oh, okay, it's like sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah. I also like this area because this is where you meet. Is it Pauline? Is that the name of the statue lady?
Yeah.
Paulina
Paulina?
or Pauline?
I actually don't remember.
I thought it was Paulina.
I could remember.
It might be Paulina.
She's great. I like her a lot. I think she's cool.
Does everyone else like Paulina?
She's got good
fine.
energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I just hate her. I guess I'm the odd one out. She
Oh,
just.
wow.
I was just expecting.
Just don't like
something-
nice people, huh?
Well, it just like didn't make
Just-
any sense to me. I was like, oh, whoa, this is like a crazy giant animate statue, and it has like.
Have you seen Ghostbusters? You like Ghostbusters?
Well, anyway, you know,
There you go.
her personality was just weird to me. She just seemed like this extremely powerful godlike being, and then she's just like sassy, and all she cares about is fashion. And it's like, this just seems weird. Like, I don't understand why this is a character. So
Listen,
Yeah,
I guess that's
she-
just me then.
Her
She gives you a
fashion.
shoe, and
Yeah,
it's-
she does give you a shoe that uses a boat.
You know,
Her
you
like
could've
obsession with
just,
fashion
like,
is weird because she
yeah,
cannot change her clothes or whatever.
Right.
She has never changed her
it's
clothes.
useless to her.
Also, there's a piece
How
of
do you know
dialogue.
that? She can take her shoe off.
Someone
Yeah.
can make a giant dress.
Okay, maybe somebody made her a dress. Yeah, I don't know. She has a line of dialogue, like it's right before we stop, where you're asking her to take you to Cinder, and she's like, "Oh, no, can do. I can't just run around and do whatever all I want." And they're like, "Please." She's like, "Well, okay, but only this last time." And it seems like it's just literally the game is like, we can't let you keep using Paulina to go wherever you want. We have to cut that off, and we don't know how to do it, so we're just gonna make her be like, "I have stuff to do. I'll help you one more time, but then I'm done."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can't remember. She was like a guardian or something, right? I
They
can't
call
remember.
them. What is the term they have? She's the same type of entity as Joker and that other weird.
Oh, the one that you
Moody?
fight.
Murray.
B? I thought it started with a B.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
they
a-
have like a title for what they are. They're like a sentinel or a witness. It's a witness.
Witness.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Witnesses.
But they can't remember anything, so it's like you're not a very good witness. Sorry.
Didn't do your job, yeah.
Yeah. So they seem like they're supposed to be these very powerful, important entities in this world, but they just don't actually come across that way in practice, to me. So
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they just feel like a wild card
yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, there's also you do the boss fight again against the twin sisters here inside of Paulina
Right.
before she like becomes a character, and this is where you get your synchro power. But like I was already destroying them without the synchro power before, and they
Yeah.
weren't damaging me or anything. And then the game's like, oh no, we're in such trouble. That's one of my least favorite things in any game, especially a turn-based RPG, is where you're winning or you do win, and then in the cutscene after you're losing or you lost.
yeah.
It's the worst.
Ludonarrative dissonance, baby.
But yeah, we've kind of touched on the side quests. There's like 3 or 4 in each town that you have to do if you want to get the good ending. There's one that I missed here. I don't remember exactly what the quest is, but it's later when you're in the sewers, you have to grab like a crystal thing from, you guys know what I'm talking about, from a little computer station.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
So
part of
I
the
went to that
quest
little-
line.
Yeah, I went to that little computer thing, and they're just like, well, this is weird because I didn't pick up the quest, so I could not complete that quest anymore because the character was not there anymore when I got back to
So
town.
what was it? It was a crystal.
Like a motherboard chip or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. It's a piece of electronics.
Yeah, something. It proves that Enzo messed with the robot or whatever is the idea.
Oh,
right?
that thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
little sphere or pearl or something, and you have to give it to Paulina, I think.
Yeah, I read
Give it
that
to-
later.
What's the lady? What's the lady's name that made the robot?
Anzi, Anzi.
And it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you guys like the side quests? Obviously, not the fetch questiness of them, but like the stories or anything.
I like. There's one here that it's not really a side quest, but I really like where you have to pay the violinist a bunch of money, and you see him. I don't know if you all did that or not, but if you pay him a bunch of money, you'll see him in the future just be like an amazing violinist, and he's still standing there on the street, and he's like super happy. Where if you don't do that, like his future self, he's like a thief and trying to rob people and getting arrested.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is why I like the side quests. That and
And that's optional, like super optional. I
Yeah.
don't think they even really say it as a side quest.
no,
Just
I
like-
don't think they label that one as a side quest. I think it's like
Yeah.
1,500. Just tip him. But in the next town, like reconnecting that boy and girl couple
Mhm.
over like overriding some like weird racism.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the stories have been okay, but none of the quests have been good in and of themselves. They've mostly been fetch quests, run here, run there,
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
a lot of loading screens.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it for like the first time we're in St. Clarity. Then we go to Mount Thesia, where the robot is going rogue and murdering people and animals and all sorts of stuff. What do you guys think of this area? This is kind of our second dungeon.
Did anyone have I couldn't tell if this is just the game and it wasn't in the budget or if my game was glitching, but there would be certain things that would happen that seemed like they should have had sound effects and there was just no sound. So like in this portion of the game, when you're running along the river, the robot's like reaching its giant hand out of the river and like grabbing things and killing them and pulling them into the river, and there's just no sound. And it just
Oh yeah, there's no
really
sound.
weird. Okay, so that's just the way the game is. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of felt like they were going for like your characters aren't really seeing it. It's supposed to be like it's sneakily killing enemies, but you very clearly see it.
Yeah, that's
Or killing
the way
animals.
I interpreted it as well. Was like, oh, it's like a sneak attack type of deal. It's not supposed to be
Sure.
like loud and in your face and aggressive, but also the music in this game is blaring. So
Mhm.
you know, that could be why as well. Trying to override everything with that score they put in the game.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. I have written here. I hate that they have this whole world map that they make you explore on, but they don't put the names of the locations like above the locations. So when they told me
Yeah.
to go back to, I think it was Serenity Forest or Evergreen Forest, something like Evergreen Forest, yeah, to deliver the flowers. I had to remember, oh yeah, there was that shrine thing I kind of interact with. I kind of just walk over to Evergreen Forest and see, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Even when you walk into a location, it tells you the first time you do what that
Right.
location's name is, but it doesn't say anywhere what anything is named.
Right.
So there's a machine core boss fight here, which is kind of interesting. You have to like break his arms to make the repair core come out so that you can damage the repair core. I think this is the best boss fight so far by like a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess the only other boss fights are just fighting the same boss
Yeah.
over again. Not really.
You fight that weird swamp monster thing in the sewer, and then you fight the
Oh, yeah, the
lady
slime.
who's holding that little bird girl. And
Yeah, later. That's the
Yeah.
last one we fought, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dory did have one last question for us. Did the boss fights feel intense or just tedious and long?
I don't think
The-
they're overly long,
Yeah.
but they just weren't impressive to me. Like I just spammed my strongest attacks. I didn't use the time shifting mechanics, and that was about it.
I think they varied. Some of them were not. They didn't overstay their welcome, but they weren't amazing. Some of them were really fun. I really like this boss fight. There was like a somewhat immediate intensity with the last boss fight. Was that Risa? Was that her name?
Yes. Thank you. Couldn't remember her name.
But like it was immediately negated when like you just send her to the future and you can only damage her and not the little bird girl. It makes life real easy.
I didn't know that was an option. So
Was damaging the bird girl a mechanic in that fight? I don't even.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to speak for
that
Tom, he's
registered
not
with me.
here. Tom killed that little bird girl.
Oh, you can like permanently kill her and continue
Yeah.
the game. It's
Yep,
not
she
like
can
a
die.
fail state. Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah, so Tom poisoned that boss and sent them into the future, and he killed
Ooh,
the girl.
hope you
Tom's
like the
not
But
bad
then
good at it.
ending.
but then he reset, so
Oh,
we
okay.
won't actually hear what that does.
Oh, did he? I didn't.
Yeah,
I
he
didn't know
told
that
us the other
reset.
day that he reset.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ryan, you
I had a
also
similar
killed the little girl.
experience. Yes.
And then reset.
Did
So
you
I was
reset?
like, yeah, well, Christopher got that brand new big water magic spell, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how much this does. And it's like 500 damage, and I'm like, oh.
I feel like you could solo the game with Christopher. Probably. He's
Yeah,
just
he's a boss.
so
much
powerful.
damage. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, shitload.
Yeah, for sure. So anything else for Mount Thesia?
I like the blood river, even though it's not blood, but it looks like
Oh
blood.
yeah,
It's cool.
interesting
Yeah.
lore bit about how they siphon crystal dust out of the river and animals.
And then they just started fucking killing people. That is
Yeah.
so metal, dude. It's like I was like, oh my god,
Almost
it's
killed
like
us.
Yeah, it's like a river of blood over here. It's crazy. This robot's nuts. Definitely wasn't expecting that in the second area.
I
oh,
remember what the rubies are for that they're synthesizing from the crystal dust because I
Think-
honestly can't remember.
It's just like a generalized power crystal of some
Power
sort.
source.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a power source, but I think in terms of the town itself, they're selling them to people, and that's why
Oh,
the
okay.
upper city
Economy.
is so successful.
it's like one of their main sources of income.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the first dungeon where like you level up enough to kind of start digging into the systems of the game, and I do really like that the main character is a support character. I always like when that's the case, especially because you have to keep her in your party, and you want your healer and support character to be in your party anyway. So
Yeah.
you know, if your main character is just an attacker, then suddenly 2 of your slots are taken by an attacker and your supporter that you have to keep in there.
Sure.
I also like that, like Final Fantasy X, you can get your characters fast enough. And, you know, we talked about using Solaritas on Christopher. You can make your characters fast enough to get several turns before the enemy gets a turn. I think a lot of games try to copy the Final Fantasy X thing, but they're afraid to let you, like, haste and let your characters have several turns.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, though. That's, like, the most fun thing about that system to me.
Yeah. Any chance that you can get to really cheese the enemy, and
Mhm.
just based off the mechanics that you were given, and they let you do that, like I'm always going to be like, yes, I fucking want that. You know, let me play how I want to play. If I don't want to play it that way, that's fine. I can
dude.
play it a different way. But if you're going to allow me to play it that way, thank you, and I will do so.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. So we come back to St. Clarity, and suddenly we cannot go up to the walled city, even with the crest for whatever reason. So we have to climb into the St. Clarity sewers is our next big dungeon. From one dungeon to the next very quickly here, unless you stop to do side quest. And I think this is where you're supposed to grab that side quest to get the crystal in the sewers, but I did not,
Right.
which screwed me in a big bad way. I do hope that you know, I'm screwed out of the true ending at this point. I'm pretty sure you have to do every city perfectly to get the true ending. I do hope that there's not like bosses and stuff associated with that, because that's always the worst, is when it's like you don't get the true ending, so you don't get to fight the thing that's actually hard.
Yeah.
So what is the perfect thing to do in Narim?
Oh, it
Is
doesn't.
it
That
just-
one doesn't matter. I mean, the choices in
okay.
general doesn't matter. I think we'll get to the choice at the end here, but I think they give you a third choice if you've done everything correctly. That is the correct choice.
Yeah.
Is that right? You guys have 3 choices here.
In here I did. I didn't in the first town.
I did not. I only had 2 that I
Oh,
remember.
really? Yeah, I had 3 choices. And it's so dumb.
remember.
It's like, do you want to put this person in charge or do you want to put this person in charge? And then the third choice is like, do you want to put them both in charge?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not get that
Yeah.
option. It was one or the
I
other.
also didn't get that option. What
All
the
right.
fuck?
I did get that option.
Well, you're also fucked, Tyler. I'm sorry to tell you.
are there trophies for choosing any of the other options or only
Yes.
for getting?
Yes,
Yes,
every
there are.
option has a
So you
trophy.
gotta save scum.
Save
to,
scum.
Good thing I don't care.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Good thing
I
Uh,
do.
yeah. I don't care either. Luckily.
Oh, poor Tyler.
I'm not gonna do it, but I care. It's frustrating.
For sure.
So in the sewers, I did like this boss fight. It's the first boss that like kind of moves back and forth between the 2 zones. So you can send her to the future, and she's much weaker, but then she can go to the other side and come back to the past.
I love the way that this boss is presented because it's like presented in a way that we're like, oh, we're trying to help this person. We think we're trying to do some good. And then, no, actually, we're not. We're going to get attacked by the most grotesque thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
I knew immediately. I'm like, that's not actually a person. They're leaving that one silhouette perfectly dark. Like, this is a trap. Admiral Akbar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But it was still a fun revelation when you finally see what that gross thing looks like.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And then the way Christopher responds to it afterwards and how it kind of like fucks with his head. I thought it was interesting because he's like, I'm just trying to do my best. I think he's like, I just wanted to save somebody or something like that. And I thought that was a really interesting choice to kind of go into his character like that. And then I think he talked to him later on inside of Paulina, and he's still like shaken up about that.
Yeah.
Like that he put them in danger. So
yeah.
I'm such a failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like self-doubt and stuff in this game, and I hope it comes around with that theming to make it interesting. But so far it's just like characters doubt themselves and then 10 minutes later they don't anymore.
10 minutes. The next line.
Yeah, that too.
Wilhelm, are you sure we did the right thing? Don't worry, Chris Bell. You're right.
We did everything we possibly could. You're right. Yeah, there's a really, I like this moment at the end of the sewers where you're like, the water's slowly rising and you're just kind of fucked and you have to wait for Audrey to drop down her rope.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Super fun moments. And then you're back in Saint Clarity right after that. And you go and fight Enzo basically immediately.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what'd you guys think of this fight?
I was so happy to kick his ass. Yeah.
Again, on these past two boss fights, I basically just put the haste spell on Christopher and just spam the fireball. And just,
Yep, that's what I did.
Yeah, it's just not very challenging or interesting, personally.
Yeah, Enzo has like a mind control ability where you can take over one of your characters for a turn and make them do something. He only used it on me once though, or successfully, and all he did was make me break my past crystal, which I was going to do the next turn anyway to activate my scan. Yeah. So he did me a favor. So anything else on? Well, we should talk about this ending because Ryan, did you also get the 3 choices?
Yeah, I got all 3 choices.
Okay, so what happens to the city if you pick the only correct choice? It's not really a choice. It's like either you got the good choice or you didn't.
The lower city doesn't flood.
Oh, I didn't have the lower city flood.
Who did you put in charge? The lady or the guy?
His dad.
That's weird because my city was still flooded and the top city was also wrecked. Even though I did 2 out of the 3 quests, like everything was
tied to some weird combination of side quests.
Because my future city was unflooded before I even got through this shit.
This is kind of like another problem I have with the game where it's like unclear really what is causing the consequences because they never even really address it in the game. It just, there's a cutscene where they show in the future it's not flooded anymore, but they don't explain what you did to cause that to happen. It's just...
Yeah, I did have that cutscene.
Yeah, you did all the side quests. The future is not flooded for some reason. So.
Interesting. So did you do all 3 side quests in this area, Tyler?
Yeah, I think so. What 3 were they? The kid with the flowers, getting all the parts for what's-her-face, and then...
The orb with Paulina.
The orb thing is the only one I didn't do.
I don't know if...
Is that the orb thing? Is that, like you said, Matthias into the future, and you get the schematics for it and then bring it back?
No, it's a random orb key item you find in the sewers, and you have to take it to Paulina, because they're like, for some reason, only Paulina can interact with this item, and she shows a vision of something important that I don't remember what it is.
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think
all I know is my city was 100% not flooded.
Weird.
Yeah. I think it shows a vision of a recording on the sphere of Enzo basically saying he reprogrammed the robot on purpose.
Fuck, maybe I did do that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I might have done that.
Yeah.
Did you have 3 options?
See, I just remember hating that dude's fucking mom and was like, I'm choosing the dad, so I just chose the dad.
Maybe you did have 3.
I don't remember seeing 3 options.
It's like the consequences of your actions. They just show things look better in the future, and it doesn't actually have any like gameplay implications in the present, because you can only interact with the present and move in the present. So it's like, if depending on who you put in charge, if perhaps it like caused different kinds of merchants to appear, a different gear inventory, just something, but it just doesn't have any gameplay ramifications at all.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look at that then, because I don't think I had 3. But maybe
Yeah, I
did.
definitely had 3 in the second city, and the third one is just always the correct option.
I don't think I had 3 in the second one either.
Oh,
I definitely
Super
did. And I
fun.
almost
Unless I'm
Maybe
just like
that
not paying attention enough.
trophy list.
Where is it at? I mean, is it like right in the middle or?
No,
Yeah,
it's
like
on
when
the
they
far
give you
right.
the options at the end, yeah.
Yeah, you just have 3 instead of 2. So, and it's always do this thing, or do both things.
Yes, exactly.
So,
It's so silly. So yeah, at this point you've
I
gone
lied.
to...
I did have the third option.
Cool.
In the second city.
Okay.
That's what it's like. Give money to the university or the whatever, right?
Or
Yeah,
both.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I did do that.
Okay.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did do that with the other one too.
Oh my gosh. Well,
It's been a long time, y'all. It's
we've
been a
prayed
couple
to this
days.
cathedral. Yeah, there will be a less of a time gap between this one, our next play session, and our next
Yo.
recording.
Talk about sending us into the future. Am I right?
So yeah, you've prayed to this altar or whatever. You got your synchro power. So now Paulina's gonna take you across, to Nuva. Is it Nuva or Neva Tulira? Neva Tulira.
It's
Yes.
funny. We completely skipped over the fact that we're supposed to go to this place to look for like the cathedral, and like we go to the
Oh,
cathedral,
yeah.
and the glass is all fucked up,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
how you meet Paulina in the first place. Is like you got to
Mhm.
find her because she has the real version of it.
Yeah, she's
You
got
have
the
to find out that
church.
Enzo replaced it, and all.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's irrelevant. But that was the main MacGuffin for us going there, and then it like
Mhm.
turned into a whole spiel of fight a fucking robot, go into a sewer, and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game's very good at go to this place to do a thing. Oh, but actually, there's like 8 million things you need to do. And in the case of
Right.
Neva Tulira, like you actually get what you need to get done way sooner than you finished being in that area. They're like, we got to finish cleaning up the mess here, which I mean, they're heroes, so I guess they got to do their
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I really like the way that this next section plays out. I think the story was really interesting for the characters in this area and what happened. So
Yeah. So there's a brief section here where you like go to Wilhelm's old house, which was kind of fun to see. Although this was another one of those times where they had that order of operations thing that drove me crazy because I sent the frog to go get that orb immediately, and they were like, "No, can't do that yet." So then, a little while later, they're like, "Oh, we should run around and see if we can find anything." I ran like 6 circles, and then I was like, "Oh, now I can get the stupid orb thing that shows me the future or whatever." Very
Yeah.
goofy.
and then you have to go back there later and like get that thing in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's stupid.
Yeah, why would it seemed like that's what Wilhelm was looking for, because he said like, "Oh, I have to go
Was it a
search for
will,
something."
right? You have to get her will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like that was probably the important thing that he was saying. Like, I hope they didn't steal that. But he like didn't find it. But then when you go back to get it, he knows exactly how to access it. So I don't understand. So yeah, let's talk about Neva Tulira. We kind of visit the Frozen Cathedral first, but even though the Frozen Cathedral is in the salt mines, it's more a part of the city than the salt mines. So let's talk about the cathedral in Neva Tulira.
I like this area.
Uh,
I like snow areas. Reminds me of I Am Setsuna. I love that game, and I
nice.
love that setting. So it kind of reminded me of that in a small way. Just I love snow levels. I love snow designs in any game. So it's comforting.
I like the cathedral a lot. I think it's really interesting to have a cathedral in a salt mine.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because I live in harsh winter country, but
This is the town that has the parade floats at the
Yes.
entrance, right? And for me, like the parade floats were just weird. Like they didn't read as parade floats to me. There's like one that was like a big version of the little plant summon guys that Wilhelm.
What are those called? It's like
the
they're-
yucca.
Yukadora, maybe short.
Yeah,
they call it
okay.
yuccas for short or something. But
Yeah.
Then like one of the floats is just like a gigantic shield with like a sword and an axe across it or something on like just a scaffold, and it's like,
Hell yeah.
what kind of parade float is this? Like,
That's
what?
a very metal parade.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to see giant balloons, to be honest. But,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense for what they're celebrating. They're celebrating the
Yeah.
end of the war. That was how long ago? It wasn't that long ago, right?
yeah, just a handful of years or something.
Yep, that's the same war that Christopher's brother died in, right?
Yeah, which we should talk about that a little bit. Like Christopher gets irrationally angry when you're at Wilhelm's house and you find that orb, and it's like Aiden and Wilhelm speaking in the
Yeah,
past.
he knew his brother, and he never said
and he
anything
just
about
gets really pissed off because Aiden and Wilhelm knew each other. I didn't understand that at all either. Christopher is a mystery. What the hell is going on in his dumb head?
Hormones.
Yeah.
How old do we think this main cast is, by the way?
God, like
15?
12. The way they look.
I'm skipping the anime rules of like, oh, these are all underage kids and going to make them all young adults. They are in their early
Sure.
20s in my head.
I mean, Crispell literally looks like she's 10 years old
I
before
know,
she
but
has her magical girl
Transformation.
transformation. That's not
That's true.
important.
And we do know that Wilhelm is considerably older, but is intentionally
Right.
maintaining his age, looking younger.
Which, in retrospect, that's creepy.
Sure.
It's a little weird. And obviously,
I feel
Joker is
okay
hundreds and
about being
hundreds of years old.
attracted to him sexually. I mean, he's like 100 years old. So
As long as there's no romance with him and Crispell. If she's an underage girl and he's like 90,000-year-old time wizard, that's kind of fucked up.
he seems pretty asexual, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah. He doesn't seem.
I don't know. He was pretty hot on that family in Nebatulira.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think him and the mom had.
Okay.
No, he just said the mom was like best friend.
They were having coitus.
Best friend.
Dirty mind.
He's a time wizard. He can get it if he wants it.
Yeah, this
Sure.
this city, just like with the time mechanics, immediately felt less impactful than the Saint. What was it called? The flooded
Saint
Saint
Clarity.
Clarity.
Because you have that really dramatic, like, oh, in the future everything's flooded. Like, what's going on? And in the future, in this one, it's just like some street lights are off. And it's
People are sad.
Those
yeah,
street lights keep the city warm as well, to be
Right,
fair. So
right.
it like freezes the city out
Yeah, it's just not as dramatic of a transformation, you know.
for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. The mural here is shattered, and you have to fix it. And I don't know much about glassworking, but I don't know how this guy fixed that mural with just
Yeah.
giant holes in it.
He was a
Just have to-
specialty. He was a specialist
Yeah.
with the blacksmith or whatever from Cinder. So
Okay,
he's got talent.
Master artisan.
Yeah,
master
Right.
He
artist.
knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's like that does kind of beg the question, like, what is granting these murals the magical power
Yeah.
to bestow power upon Crispell? Like, you can break it and the guy can just make a new pane of glass and put it on there and it works again. Like, how does this work, you know?
Yeah, I had the same question. Yeah, it's odd. So then we go to museum dungeon. This is probably the worst dungeon, in my opinion. It's very long, very backtracky.
Mhm.
There's side quests that require you to go back in there. It's no good.
Talking about
I like
Franny.
it
You're
visually.
gonna bring up old Franny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Franny. You gotta say Franny.
Girl
Who just looks like
bag
a
on her head.
freaking looks like what's his name? Oogie Boogie. What
Yeah.
was his name?
Yeah, from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Looks like she would be a fighter in Clay Fighters for some reason. I had that in my head.
And the first time you meet her, the characters are just like, there's a person here restrained behind a cage. That's weird, and then just leaves. You know?
Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why aren't you trying to save this person until you need to for selfish reasons, I guess? But
Because
Yeah.
you're trying to subtract after multiplication. Come on, you gotta.
exactly.
Mhm.
You can't do that. You gotta multiply first.
Yeah, so we should talk about why we're in the museum. We met Risa, who Christopher is immediately like fucking diehard in love with out of
Hot
nowhere.
chicken legs.
Yeah,
Dude.
he's really into those chicken legs.
Avian flu.
That's right.
Yeah, and she tells you that what's her name, Ralud, was that the old head of the house of Orowitz? She has died and been replaced with some lady that nobody is even really aware of outside of the
Sure.
brothers that are vouching for her.
It's her
Yeah.
great aunt or something from that she'd never met.
Great aunt.
Rawless.
Rawless, yes. that
Oh,
was her name.
okay. So Rawless is the new head. What was the old head's name? Do you guys remember? I have it written down somewhere in here.
An Isha on the end.
Tanisha?
something, maybe.
I don't know.
We'll find it eventually.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much.
But yeah, a lot of obviously very mysterious circumstances going here, and we've talked about like the political themes that they're kind of dealing with in each of the cities. This one is very much dealing with racism between the Cinderians that are refugees there and the what is that race called? The bird race.
I don't know
The
if
bird-like people. That's
Yeah,
Bird-like people.
I don't know if
exactly.
they've given a name for their race yet or not. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's bird people and goat people, but they have like kissable faces with no beaks.
Right.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, they don't have the mermaid conundrum.
Right.
So yeah, we go to the museum because
Was it
Risa.
Gladys? Was Gladys the name?
That sounds right.
Oh yes, that does sound
Yeah.
right. Because Risa saw somebody suspicious there, I guess, is why we're going there to investigate, because we think they might have something to do with the murder of Gladys, because she thinks Gladys was killed and didn't die of natural causes.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then
Dun,
you
dun,
randomly
dun.
run across another witness who's just a museum display in there. And
Yeah.
it's just her head. So
But that was cool. I was like, this is so fucking weird. I'm into it. I was into it.
Yeah, I like the character fine, even though she's like constantly trying to give you candy, and she has some really weird dialogue that I'm not super
Yeah.
into.
No,
but
she can't remember anything. She doesn't have her body.
That's fair. But I like it is weird that you randomly find her, because you find out later that Rowless destroyed her so that she would not tell anybody about the twins summoning her from some portal or whatever.
Yep.
But like then she just left her head sitting somewhere in the museum.
yeah. And also from the perspective of Chris Bell, you come into a museum, you see something that, as far as you know, is a piece of art on display, and you're just like, I'm gonna take this with me. Like what?
Listen, Buki was very nice.
That's true.
That's true.
What's weird is like the witnesses have like nothing in common.
Right.
If you think about them,
Yeah.
that's what, like trying to piece that together is like, what the fuck is their role in this?
They make
Because like
no sense.
Paulina is like just a giant Statue of Liberty Ghostbusters woman, and then we have our buddy JKR21 or whatever, and then Buki, who's this fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Nothing
it's-
in common with any of them other than they can't remember shit. That's it.
Yeah,
They
is
don't really
Mat-
seem to know each other.
No.
Like,
yeah, they don't remember each other at least. Is Matthias also a witness? Because he seems to know a lot of things. I don't think they've
He's
said
It's just a
it.
pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think that makes him not a witness, because if he was, he wouldn't remember shit.
That's
I would
fair.
like to point out in Matthias's future self, when he's a fat toad, he has random like stitched patches of cloth on his body.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this just an aesthetic or is he a construct? Like what? Who knows?
Mm.
Probably not
Good
important
question.
at all.
Yeah, maybe they just really like their art style, so they're like, put a little stitch
Yeah.
there.
I don't blame them. I really like their art style.
That's true. That's fair. So what else stands out in the museum? We get the
Well, this
power
is-
to like
yeah.
build things up and destroy them.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel about that?
Well,
It's
I was
pretty cool.
like, why didn't they introduce this in the first dungeon? Like, why is it like 6 hours into the game that we're using time mechanics in dungeons? You know?
Yeah.
They want to make sure you understand the time mechanics very clearly.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It was interesting. I don't think it was utilized well enough as far as puzzle design, so I
Yeah.
would have liked to have seen that more. But it was nice to have a little bit something extra as far as like going through a dungeon. And it's like, oh, okay, I have this thing I can do as well, and it's going to change it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
certainly.
it is.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
All right. I think it is a little bit later in the salt dungeon mines when you've got to like use it to reconnect the pipes
Yeah,
to fill the water. But here it is used a little blandly.
Yeah, I like. There's some points where you need to like destroy the statue to get behind it to grab a chest or to grab a quest item or whatever, and then as you're leaving, you need to make sure you build it back up because you need it up above. I think it's a little more interesting than the other dungeons because of that.
Yeah.
My main problem with this dungeon is just it's very long compared to the other ones. I got in a million battles here.
I think that's the issue. It's like the dungeon itself isn't long. It's just this one in particular. I felt like I was in a fight every other
Yeah.
step.
I find myself using the flee option in this game a lot more than other turn-based
I
RPG.
did not flee a single fight until the salt mines at the very end when I was trying to find one more piece of like silver dust or some bullshit in there.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm sick of being in here. So then I started fleeing. But
Yeah. As
other than
soon
that,
as that I'm
fighting
sick of
every day.
being here feeling like kicks in for me, I'm like, flee.
Yeah,
I don't
that
feel like
only
I need to
happened
grind it
once.
all.
I should probably flee more. I fight every battle and it takes a very long time.
I think this game's just like a case of like it just really feels like after playing this game that you really can't make a case for straight up just truly random battles. Like it just feels like games that allow you to see enemies on the overworld and avoid them. That's just a 100% like factually objective improvement to the genre that should be in every game, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dragon
Yeah.
Quest 11.
Yes.
Yeah, even Bravely Default 2, Bravely Default and Bravely Second both had random battles. But first of all, you could completely turn them off if you want to. But then Bravely Default 2 finally had them like on the map,
Yeah.
and you can hit them if you want to. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's very important. I just started what is it called? SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh. That's got enemies on the map that you can hit.
I like that game better than this game.
I like that game better than this game too.
You guys can leave.
No, he can't. He's hosting.
Bye.
Is that that's the deck builder one?
Yeah.
So what we meet Kari, is that her name, for the first time here? A like agent of the Time Empress. I don't really understand what her deal is though.
Right.
Kari
She looked
Hudo.
like I don't remember this character.
She's like a blonde. She's got like a weird hat on, and she looks like Mother Superior kind of in a way.
Man, I think I just forgot this character.
She knows Rallis somehow.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, she's like the one. She's like working for the Time Empress to like get the regions to get her what she wants. She's the one that made a deal with Rallis that like she would let Rallis come back to life or whatever, and say, Rallis was already back to life, I think. But she was gonna help Rallis to take over the city, the Orowitz estate, and everything. And in exchange, she has to let the Time Empress take the Millennium Flower.
Okay, I'm vaguely remembering this character now. Yes.
Yeah, and then so at the end, she is also the one that summons. This boss's name is Buagot, and then runs away. It's
Cool.
like that weird harpy
Like a dragon
cat
thing?
Yeah, cat dragon.
Oh,
I don't know.
yes, I got you now.
Yep.
Okay.
I forgot that we fucking fought that.
Yeah, me too.
So
I remember thinking that Buagot sounds like some kind of prescription cream.
It
Yeah.
does.
Like,
yeah. So there was. I don't know if this was a bug, but with this boss fight, it's on the left side, and I sent it into the past, and it didn't change at all, but its stats changed. Like I looked at it in the scan menu, and
Yeah.
its stats did change, but it didn't change. I don't know if that was a bug or if it's just like we
It didn't
didn't
have
make a
art,
past form of
yeah.
this thing. I don't know. That was weird to me.
Yeah. Just I mean, indie game, low budget, gotta give them that,
Yeah.
that leeway, a bit of the doubt. But there's definitely areas like that, and like the issues with the sound sometimes, and some of the dungeon designs. It's just like, ooh, this game needed a little bit more time in the oven.
Yeah, which is crazy because it has been delayed like several times already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with some.
well,
like,
there are other enemies that you can send them into the future or whatever, and they don't have any kind of like change to them because they're already in that state, right? So maybe
Right,
that was
yeah.
part of it. It's like her or its physical form isn't actually going to change, but the stats are
Yeah.
changing because you're sending it through time, but it's not going to change its physical body,
Mm.
well,
you know?
but the thing is, like when you go into the scan menu, you can see like its
Three
present
different
form
versions.
and its past form. There's just no picture on the past form.
Yeah.
I assume it was a bug. I don't know. But like I do like you bring that up. You can send like enemies that are already at their third stage in the future. You can send them to the future, and you hit them with the temporal limits, which does damage to them and also like halves all of their stats, which is very powerful.
oh, I didn't know it had stats.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it makes them very weak. It's awesome.
Cool.
So I didn't really understand why they cared about this either. They like find a love letter in the fireplace, and that's like their clue to go see Lucio. I don't understand why that was a clue. Like, I don't understand what that had to do with any of the stuff that they're
Yeah.
there for.
Yeah.
It didn't.
it ends up leading there, but like it's a big jump.
Is Lucio and Franny? Is that the?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Like they could have just had like Lucio confront you, like he's heard of you, you're a renowned hero, and he's like, my wife Franny's missing. Like, can you? The last place we saw her was a museum. Can you go try? And then you just go in there, and the first time you go in there, you find her and you save her. But instead, it's this weird back and forth with a love letter, and I don't know.
That would have been better because then we wouldn't have needed multiple times in the museum. Like if he approached us, off the bat.
Yeah, it is also weird because you can, when you talk to Franny, it will show her name even though she can't say anything. It'll show her name with a ... So you already know her name's Franny, and then you read this love letter to Franny. You're like, oh yeah, she's upstairs.
She's right there.
That's how I knew to go back for her. So I was like, all right, I already talked to this random sackhead over here, so.
So yeah, you make a very quick visit to the Orowitz estate to talk to Lucio, and then come back to save Franny. And this is, I mean, it's already kind of been happening, but this is where Christopher really started to get on my nerves with the way he was like inviting himself into the Orowitz family.
We are fucking this up. We fucked this whole dungeon up. We didn't talk about the crazy puzzle of like having to figure out the words for the gate code. That was cool.
I thought that was dumb. So I didn't talk about it, but talk about why it's cool. Tyler, tell us.
Oh, I just thought it was interesting. It was a mechanic that I wasn't expecting to have to go and find these different phrases and stuff and figure out what the actual pass code was to get through the gate, and how they're like, oh, the last word is written on the wall, and it just said like Raleigh or some bullshit. I can't remember.
Tulira, I think it was the name of the city.
Anyways, I thought it was interesting. It was just like an interesting thing that we haven't done yet. On top of having to decay and build up the statues, it's like, oh, okay, they're throwing two new things on us at once in this dungeon. Whereas like before, it's just been very straightforward.
It didn't even click with me to call that a puzzle.
Yeah. So okay, this is where like I wish
I'll go fuck myself. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay, Tyler. Everything's okay, bud.
Okay, so here's how I would have done the game. You'd have the triggers to switch between the time periods at will. So you rotate between past, present, or future view. And in the dungeons, instead of just getting a power that's like, okay, you can decay things now, but here's the obvious things you can decay, and you just go up to it and you press A. Instead, you can like shift between the past and the future and see the things change. So like there's this puzzle that Tyler's talking about. There's like a part where there's a room you go into and you have to investigate a picture, and you like decay the picture into the future, and like the picture rots, just leaving like the picture frame. So you see behind the picture was like one of these words that you needed for the code. But like if you could just go into the room and like switch it between the past and the future, and on your own volition like investigate the room and see what changes, instead of just being, here's the thing I clearly need to press A on, it's the only interactable thing in the room. Puzzle done, you know.
Yeah, they definitely could have taken puzzle design a little further and made the dungeons maybe a little more interesting. This that way, like when you get the decay and whatever it's called, the rebuild mechanic, it kind of reminded me of like, I don't know if you guys are fans of the Tales of series, but it reminded me of a dungeon of the Tales of series. The difference being every dungeon you go into in the Tales series, they introduce a new like mechanic that you're just using for that dungeon, and you do a bunch of interesting puzzles with it. Whereas it seems like this is just like a new thing that we're going to carry forward into a bunch of dungeons, and they didn't really do that much interesting with it yet. But yeah, when we come back to the museum, this is the part where Christopher drove me crazy, like trying to invite himself into being Grisa's girlfriend, basically calling Lucio Uncle Lucio and calling Wilhelm Uncle Wilhelm, and Wilhelm rightfully gets super pissed off about it. Yeah, Christopher sucks so bad.
Yeah.
But he does so much damage in combat. Oh.
True, it's true. Yeah, I like it. If Joker was actually useful, I would ditch Christopher for it, or if he was as useful as Christopher, but he's not yet.
Maybe
anyway.
he is, and we're just sleeping on him.
Maybe
It's possible. So yeah, you're looking for the keys behind the paintings this time to open the cave, or not the cave, the cage for what's her name. So yeah, anything else in the museum? I don't think there was another boss fight here on the second visit. I think it's just running back through.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I don't know if you got this as a boss fight. You fight him like 3 or 4 times, but the Tri-Fly royalty and the big bug is technically a boss fight, I guess, that activates after you save her.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. That was the only time in the game where I almost died, and I was like, I think I'm gonna die, but I somehow pulled it out of my ass. So.
Yeah,
I think the timing on blocking a lot of their attacks was just really weird or something, and then I couldn't get a handle on it.
yeah, she's very fast and she stuns your characters so that they don't get their
Yeah.
turns.
She just stuns your entire party at once. It's just like, okay, that's fair.
I did die during this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the worm can straight up just eat one of your party members and they just don't have to do anything. So.
That happened really early on to Cris spell, I think. And I had been focusing the other enemies, and I was like, oh crap, I need to switch my focus.
Yeah.
So like for most of the fight, I only had 2 characters, which was really rough.
Is this one of these two, the fight where like they can actually stop you, not just stun you, but actually like physically stop one of your characters where they can't move anymore? Or is that later on? Because there was one where
I remember.
I just had one that like completely got stopped and was not able to do anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what that mechanic is. I know that there are several enemies, including this one, that can make it where you don't get a turn, but you're saying like you didn't get turns for like at all for the rest of the battle?
Yeah, maybe it was a bug then, because it was like I would get hit and then I wasn't able to do anything at all, and they would just never fucking come back into combat until like the end, until the end of the game, or like
I honestly
the end
don't
of
remember
combat.
that. Yeah, could have been a bug.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
that
it was
either.
super fucking frustrating because I had like 2 people and I kept getting my ass kicked. I was like, how am I supposed to do anything ever?
Yeah.
So it's very frustrating, and it always seemed to happen. I think with Cris spell, it's like she would just be out of commission, just would not fucking come back in at all, ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's another like kind of fetch questy thing you have to do here. There's a bunch of side quests that are fetch questy that we can talk about if you guys want to, but like just for the main story, you have a kind of fetch questy thing of like you go and talk to the guy that's gonna fix your mirror or whatever, and he says he needs tools. So you have to go to Lucio, and Lucio tells you, oh, I have a friend that has tools. You go and get the tools, and then you can go give him the tools to that guy. It's like this big circle of talking to people that really don't have anything to say just to get these tools.
Yep. And then that's when they send you off to the what's the next dungeon?
Rainbow Path is the next area because they need the colors for the dyes. I guess the dyes are important to make the mirror's magic work.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, Rainbow Path is definitely a super. It's probably the coolest looking area, in my opinion.
But
What do you guys
certainly the most linear.
Yeah. And then when you first enter Rainbow Path, Joker's there sitting on like a giant lotus flower or something, and they walk by him and they're just like, what's that? And someone, probably Wilhelm's, just like, oh, I don't know, it's just a statue that's been there for like 100 years or something, and he just looks like a Gundam or something, and it's like, okay, that's weird.
Likely story, Wilhelm.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So you have to visit 5 pools, and each pool kind of gives you a vision of either the past or the future. I think it changes depending on which one you're at, which is kind of cool. And then maybe my favorite moment of the game now, I know you hated it, Tyler, the Time Empress comes and beats your fucking ass. I just like seeing how powerful she is. Like having a perspective of like, okay, that's what we're dealing with, and no, we are not ready, and these characters need to stop acting like they're gonna beat this lady right now.
Yeah, I definitely went into that fight like, well, I'm gonna get my ass beat. Let's see how I can. Nope.
Yeah, she's invulnerable to everything, and then she just like deals 3,000 damage to everybody in one hit.
So she's there to pick up this MacGuffin called the Millennium Flower, which I forgot was even a thing in the story until we ran into it. And then I just feel like they don't really explain the significance of the Millennium Flower. Like,
I don't know what it's for.
Gets it, and then
I feel like they don't explain the significance of anything.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it's
like,
coming together later, but
yeah, it's like the overarching story is like I still don't have no clue what's going on. To me, it's like these just like little tiny pocket stories, and it's like that's the interesting thing there because everything else is just
bad. Kill Time Empress.
Yeah, that's it. And then it's like, what little side stories are we going to discover as we go to try to eventually kill this lady? And it's kind of frustrating at times because it's like really want to figure out what the hell's going on here, and it's like how long are they going to like make us wait? You know, it's like they can only do this for so long before it eventually just becomes like, I don't know, too much.
Think about it, like something else that bothers me kind of about the story is like they kind of try a little bit to set up Cris Bell as like this weird prophecy hero at the beginning, and she's not even like trying to hide her powers at all, but it just seems like no one in the game gives a fuck. Like that she is who she is and that she can like look into the past. Like no one seems to care about her or think that she's important or want to use her or manipulate her for her powers. It's just like she's kind of walking around getting into trouble, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So I also think it's cool that the Time Empress like rewinds time and wants to just kill you again because she thought it was fun, which I think is great for her personality there. I was mildly disappointed. This is ultra specific, but that it's not your actual fight that you just had with her. It's like they pre-baked that fight in because I did different things than what the characters did during that rewind scene. But yeah, then you get saved by JKR721, who Christopher decides to just call K.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed that he didn't decide Joker. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah,
it's right there, buddy.
Right there.
it is right there.
They laid it up for you.
Yeah.
Also, like, I think I like the character, but I immediately had a distaste for the character because JKR just reminds me of JK Rowling, who nobody can like. But yeah, terrible person. But I was glad that a new party member finally joined until I realized this game commits the greatest sin of any RPG in that if a character is not in your party, they gain no experience. So you cannot change up your party later, and you just have to choose who you're going to use for the whole
That's
game.
why he went to the bench.
Yep. I did the same thing. So we were talking about earlier in SteamWorld Quest. It's just like if an RPG has more party members than can fit in your party, I just never change out the party members you start with. Like I'm just attached to those characters, you know. So
Yeah,
I do if there's an XP share attached to them.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But if there's no XP share, then it's a done deal. It's starting party and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I sometimes will change up my party, but once I have a party that I've chosen, like I just stick with that one. I'm not going to go grind for hours and hours so that I can use this other character and have some variety. Like it comes from an old like way of thinking where it adds replayability to games when there weren't 8 billion games and people were replaying through video games.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I would rather just have the variety within one playthrough to be able to be like, I want to mess around with JK's kid a little bit, JKR, Joker, whatever. So I'll K. So I'll swap somebody out. But yeah, I wanted to talk about like JKR. I don't know what to call him. K. I'll call him K, but I'll keep messing it up. I promise. I put him in for a little while just to see what his kid is like, and it seems fine. But the first 3 characters they give you all have such essential functions. First of all, Christabel can't be taken out, and she's your support. You need to have Wilhelm for the scan because I can't stand not seeing enemy HPs, and Christopher just does shitloads of damage and can hit all enemies for shitloads of damage. Like, they can give me all the party members in the world, but I'm not going to be able to take any of those 3 out.
My other problem with K is that his main gimmick is that he can move enemies between sides of the screen. So if there's a reason you need to put an enemy into the future, but they're on the left side of the screen, you can actually do that now. But like, let me walk you through theoretical combat, right? It's like, oh no, there's an enemy I want to poison and then send it to the future to get all the damage over time damage at once, but he's on the left side of the screen. So it's like K's turn, move the enemy to the other side of the screen. Wilhelm's turn, poison the enemy. Still's taken no damage. Christabel's turn, send the enemy in the future. Now it's taking damage. So it's taking your entire party's turns to do 1 attack's worth of damage. And then if you just have Christopher in the party, it's like, boom, 300 damage. What's up? Like 1 turn. Let's go. So it's just useless. I don't get it at all, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's, where we were getting at the beginning, where like the crystal mechanic is cool, but it should be like a free action that you can do at any points. I think that would make it more useful in general instead of having to wait for Christabel's turn and then use it. It requires too much setup to be successful.
I think it would also be
which time you
different
can just
too
murder them.
if you could switch out party members in combat.
Yeah, that as well.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
it. I mean, that's all you need. And they don't let you do that either. And I think that's a shitty way to make games now. If you can't switch out your party in the middle of combat, like Dragon Quest 11. What are you doing? Dragon Quest can do it. They've made a lot of RPGs. You can do it. It's fine.
Dragon Quest 11 is a great game. Let's talk about Dragon Quest 11, guys.
That's a great game.
So yeah, that's kind of it for Rainbow Path. You have to come back there and go to the First River again for a side quest later, but there's
Yeah. Woo.
So then we have the salt mines is kind of our last thing. We go back to the cathedral, and I don't remember why we have to go in the salt mines. You guys remember?
We have to get parts for
Buki.
Buki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And this is where you're like raising things up to reconnect pipes to like bring water to jugs to raise water levels.
That's right.
Puzzles, everybody.
Salt
Puzzles.
levels.
You have to find little tiny, like unseeable little sparkles of
Okay.
salt.
This,
Yeah.
oh my god, okay. This whole side quest, this guy in the university asks you to collect 2 samples of salt. Right off the bat, when you talk to him, he's like, I need you to go to the salt mines and give me the salt. So then I leave to the salt mines, I run through the whole dungeon, can't find anything, and then I go back to him and I check my quest log, and it's like, talk to the guy again to progress. So it's like you talk to him and he tells you what you need to do, and then you can just leave. But you have to talk to him again after that to actually get the quest to be able to find the salt. And it's like, who designed this? So then one of the pieces of salt that you have to get is tied to one of these broken pipes that you have to restore with your time powers. And to complete the dungeon, you have to restore the pipes. So I'd already done that, and it didn't occur to me to like undo it. So I literally ran back and forth to the dungeon twice, doing like God knows how many random battles, and then I just looked it up. Like this killed me, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I also did that. I spent
same.
a good 30 minutes doing it.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating. It was like,
So
just show me
bad.
where the goddamn salt is so I can
Yeah.
pick it up, because now
Big
I got the salt. I got all the salt.
Yeah, I got the salt for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, after I failed to do all the side quests in the second city, I've had a side quest guide open the whole time, so I didn't have that problem. But I like as I walked past them, I was still like, "You're supposed to see this? How?"
Yeah, and then Tom isn't here, but I was talking to him about it. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's just like up in this area." I was like, "I have walked past that fucking area 1,000 times. Where is it?" And then it was there, but I just like could not fucking see it. So this sucks.
This is sort of tangentially related, but because I did so many damn random battles because of this quest, I had so much gold, and by that point I had enough gold to just max out all my characters' weapons already, except the starting 3 basically. And it's like there's never going to be a reason for me to max out Joker's weapon because I'm not going to use it. So for one, it's a little disappointing that I've already maxed out the characters' weapons and I'm ostensibly only halfway through the game. And 2, like, Crisbell carries her sword around with her on her overworld sprite. She's always got it in her hand, and it does not change appearance because when you level up the weapons in the upgrade menu, they change appearance and they look way cooler. But in the overworld sprite for Crisbell, it still looks like the basic version of the sword, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah, does it still look the same in battle as well?
Okay, so this is a weird one. Some of the characters' weapons change in battle, but like take Chris for example, his shield gets like more ornate and has more of these like columns or poles on the front design. So like when you upgrade it the first couple of times, it changes appearance in battle, but then after that, the next 2 upgrades aren't reflected visually in battle, and it's just like,
That's
what?
really weird.
Like, I don't understand at all. It's like they just forgot it. They ran out of time. There's oversight. I don't know. So, but it's definitely disappointing.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah,
I don't even think I noticed it.
Anyway,
I
Salt
didn't
Mines.
yeah. So we did everything we needed to do. We found all Buki's parts, and she's about to tell us a story, and then that one girl Kari shows up and corrupts her somehow, and now you have to fight her.
AKA cast haste on Christopher and shoot her with fireballs until she.
Yeah,
dies.
I mean, at this point in the game, like I'm destroying bosses so fast. Like I had it written for the last boss too, the Buatos or whatever the other thing's name was. I already forgot. Like it used some tar pit attack, and I don't even know what that did because I killed it too fast.
Yeah.
I'm just killing bosses so fast. I don't even see what is supposed to be interesting about them.
Mhm.
Anybody
Yep.
find this fight really good though? I don't know. Like I like that she
I thought it was
makes
cool. It
little
was cool
sand
that
hands.
she like turned into a giant thing, and
Mm.
it was like, but not memorable. Very quick.
It's fine.
and It was over with so quick.
So it was
So
a visually interesting boss fight. Cool,
Yeah.
cool design. She like sheds her outer shell and turns into like a demon spirit for some.
yeah, that was
reason.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that they like kind of portray this story wise as if it's like, you know, really tragic that she's turned into this monster and you have to kill her now, and then you just kill her and she's fine. Like she reboots.
Right,
Yeah, you don't even kill her. You just like stop her.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, not great. But you find out that the twins that have been kind of douchey are the ones who summoned Rallis because they think Gladys was wasting all their money. They're rich, spoiled little bastards. And Rallis is going to control their fortune and keep it from the people in the city.
Kind of super fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extremely.
And Rallis is actually the first Orowitz who like founded the family and created their fortune to begin with. So she's also upset that Gladys is sharing money with the poor people.
It's also just kind of weird that once you reveal her, she just decides to turn into a monster and try and kill you instead of just being like, dang it, you guys found out I was lying. I guess I'll just leave. You know, it's like, what good does it do to murder all these kids?
Yeah, she like takes Risa and flies up to the floats, and you have to go fight her there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting that you can kill Risa here, but like I didn't try the AoE spell. I think I had just gotten it, but I didn't even try it because I saw that Risa was a target and I didn't know if you could kill her or not. So I just used like Fireball or whatever against the actual lady over and over. And that's kind of what's this boss called? Sinkerax, it's suddenly called, instead of why don't you just call it Rallis? We know her.
Yeah.
Rallis. And then we skipped the part where we got a shoe for a boat, but we've kind of already covered it several times at this point.
Yeah.
We're gonna ride around in a shoe.
Woo!
You do.
Cool.
And then immediately in the next area, I don't know about you guys, I walked around that world map a little bit, and there's points where you could get on a boat, but it won't let you get in the shoe because it would melt. It's lava.
Yeah.
So we can need a new boat.
Lava
Fire
shoe.
boat.
That kind of. This is like another. It just feels like the game is needlessly linear in some areas. Like when you get to the frozen city, they just won't even let you go into certain areas. Like you can't go into the cathedral, you can't go in the university. It's like they're forcing you to like go into each area one by one, and it's like, what harm would it do to just let me go in the university and like talk to an NPC that has a pointless line of dialogue? Like what does that hurt? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That definitely misses the mark with old school JRPGs, which are like, yeah, there you go. There's the world.
Yeah.
Main objective: stop the bad guy.
break some pots, find some secrets in it. Like there's an invisible wall.
Yeah, we did skip over after you save Risa. Christopher was like, "Oh, I wouldn't say no to a date," when she's like, "Oh, how can I repay your debt or whatever?" God, he's such a fucking creep. I hate him.
You cocky cock.
Hey, he's got to shoot his shot, man. What's he gonna do? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. He could ask her out in a moment when she is not vulnerable to his influence. But yeah, and then you make this choice that we talked about earlier. I think we all had the third choice on this one. You can either give money to the museum, give money to the university, or give money to both. And if you give money to both, everything is great. Everybody has everything they need.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we head to the city of Cinders. I talked about it earlier. Paulina's basically like, this is the last time I'm going to take you anywhere. And then that's it for this section.
Yeah, that's it. That's the first half of Cris Tales.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope it was the first half and not less. Because we've got like
it's like 20 to 30 hours, 30 to 40 hours, and I'm like, how long is this game?
I don't know.
It be just as 20 or like late first half of 20s, 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
For the main, I don't know how much main
I
plus
may
extras.
like opt to just not do side quests for the rest of the game.
Cool. I mean, you can tell us how fucked up all the cities are.
I'll get the bad ending for you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm also going to get the bad ending. From what I understand, there's just you get the bad ending or you get the ending for doing everything.
Right.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any closing thoughts on this? Any predictions? Anything you hope to see from the next section that would improve it for you? Tyler,
Yeah,
you
just want to see where it goes. You know, I want to find out what's up with the Time Empress. I want to see what other characters we're going to meet and see what other cool areas are designed with this, you know, unique art style and aesthetic. And hopefully the combat gets a little bit more intuitive. Hopefully the dungeons get a little bit more intuitive, and we'll wash our hands of it, wrap it up, fucking move on to the next one.
I hope,
I hope
there's
for,
like. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go
Ryan.
ahead.
Okay. I just hope there's an extremely highly produced, well animated cutscene that's like a flashback that Christopher sees that shows like how his brother was brutally murdered and he gets like really devastated about it.
Good God.
Damn.
Um,
You were gonna say the same thing, right, Ryan?
exactly. It's not. I hope that definitely the Time Empress is somehow related to Chris Bell. That's like the twist I'm hoping for. But I also hope we get a crap load of more one-liners against Christopher from Wilhelm. Those are the shining moments in this game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope that the combat is a little more intricate in the second half. I hope that I can't just instantly kill everything with Christopher. I don't think that's going to be the case. It feels like the game's not particularly well balanced. In terms of economy, the game's not well balanced either. Like after that first section, going to the second section, you start making shitloads more money. All of a sudden, those super expensive tents are nothing.
Yeah.
Like
marbles,
weird.
by the way. People use marbles as currency in this game.
What else would you use?
Yeah.
So that's a very good
Those
question.
like blood diamonds or whatever the fuck St. Clarity was using.
Oh yeah, they buy precious magic gems with marbles, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah, I did have one last note on your. You get another one of those scenes where you can talk to people at a campsite while you're on Paulina going towards Cinder City, and all the characters kind of talk about like how you did the best you could, but it may not have been the best thing. There is no black and white. You know, we're kind of operating in the gray, and I think the game is just giving itself too much credit there because it was very black and white. Everything in that story has been pretty black and white so far.
Yeah.
I will say I have, because I'm the one that found the stopping point, I have seen the names of all the chapters, and I think there's some interesting stuff coming up.
Okay.
Hopefully. So I'm excited to see what those chapter names entail. I guess I'll leave it there.
Heck yeah, dude.
But before we end, Tyler, I do want to give you the opportunity, if you want to regale us with things that you love about the game, because we've been very negative.
Okay, one thing I love Christopher's shield and how it breaks apart, and he's just got two fucking gauntlets. Cool. Like, when's the last time you saw that in a game? That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I do like all of the. I mean, I've been kind of quiet with like this whole last section because I'm very tired, but like the whole stuff with the Orwitz and how Wilhelm is involved with them, and like we didn't really go into it at all, but like Wilhelm knows this family very well, like his disappointment with the family and like what they're doing and how like the brothers brought Rallis in and like just his disgust with everything is like really an interesting character arc for him. It paints like him in a different light because he like they all know him as a teacher and as like an educator, and like we just know him as like this like tiny little badass who just sends shit and scans stuff, you know, like
yeah, I did like Wilhelm's arc, I will say.
Yeah, I think there's I think the writing was better in the last area than we really gave it credit for. Is just that whole thing of like, and it's like a really weird like power dynamic with wealth. They keep like in both these main hubs that we've been to so far, it's always been about wealth and like the disparagement between like the upper class and the lower class. So it'll be interesting to see if that is like something that continues going forward. If that's like always like those who have the power just sit and do nothing, if that's going to be like the main focal point, which is like from what we've seen so far is, but I think it's still interesting. That's a common occurrence. Just the suffering of those who can't do because they don't have the money to do so.
Yeah.
100% with you on that. That's my favorite part of the game is the political themes that are in each of these cities. I don't know that they explore them as thoroughly as they could, but I think they're saying the right thing. Wealthy people hoarding their money and oppressing is bad.
Yeah, and like we're coming in here and deciding, okay, now what do we do with this line of power? How do we see fit best to rule after like we dethrone these assholes who are really taking advantage of the lower class and the ones who can't take advantage for themselves? I think it's interesting. I mean, we saw it from the very beginning. Like Chris brought it up at the very beginning with like the mayor and like there's like farmers talking to a bunch of soldiers and they're like, hey, we just want to farm and do our own thing, and then like people are just fucking coming in and taking all of our shit. And I want to see that play out more. I think it's interesting. I think they do a good job of writing that stuff out. So
Yeah.
Just a very like 30,000-foot view of it, but yeah, it is good stuff.
yeah, and like I want to see what happens with the art direction as like we hit other areas. I think the game is fucking gorgeous to look at. Like I love it, and I think the soundtrack's amazing. We already said that. I mean, I love a lot of aspects of this game. It's just there are certain things it's like frustrating, you know. But I can find a frustration out of any game. So
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not like, just to end it on a positive note. Like I think this game's just like you definitely can like it or you can't like it. Like it's not just objectively like a horrible game or anything like that. Like, and it just so happens like coincidentally the rest of the three of us aren't that attached to it. And it makes me think of that game that just came out, The Ascent. Like, one person I know like just thought it was a horrible glitchy mess and never wanted to play it again. And then a bunch of other people I know, it's like their game of the year. So still just you gotta play it for yourself, form your own opinion. So
yeah, and you always have to have like a step back and look at it like this is an indie studio that developed this. Like
exactly. Yeah.
looking at it, it's like 3 or 4 different studios I think that actually put work into it. It's really confusing because there's like a bunch of different companies attached to it. I know Modus is attached to it, and like there's a couple others as well. And like this isn't a AAA production, so it's not going to be like the best. I mean, you're not going to find that, I don't think. So
yeah, I will say this is certainly longer and maybe more ambitious, but like there are a lot of indie games that come out that are incredibly well polished. I don't think being an indie is like an excuse for not being well polished or having quality of life. We look at Death's Door is like one of the best games of the year, and that's an indie developed by a small team. Like I do think this is an
I think
okay
it's always
game
wise to temper expectations though.
Sure.
Because
Sure,
like you don't know the pedigree that's going into it. I mean, we don't have enough knowledge of who is coming into it, what's going on exactly, or how long it took, or how many people worked on it. I mean, we just don't have any of that information. So with anything, we just need to temper expectations and then find out how it plays out.
Sure.
Yeah. This is the studio's freshman effort, I believe. So they certainly have great artists and great music team. I don't know. Maybe they just need the funding to test more. A lot of indies do not get the opportunity to test at all. So
yeah, I think Modus Games is the publisher. Maybe they were the ones who designed it, but there's like other companies attached to it. It's very fucking confusing. I don't understand it.
Somebody write in for the next episode and tell us who developed this game, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe the devs.
Yeah, there you go.
I hope the devs didn't listen to this. Terrible.
Yeah, Modus published it, so they're not even the ones who developed it.
But yeah, let's end with a round of plugs. Kaedhen, where can people find you?
Cool. So yeah, I'm 1/4 of the Great Game Debate podcast. You just search that on YouTube, on Twitter. We're Great Game Debate, but debate's spelled DEB and then the number 8. So like Deb8. And then through either of those, I believe you can find a link to the Discord itself. And, we're just a fun little community with different corners for different fandoms. And we do a game club. I think right now we're doing Psychonauts in preparation for Psychonauts 2. We do giveaways. If you're not familiar with the artist, Crowsmack, just look him up on Twitter. Does the most amazing like old school movie themed posters, and basically has a poster for any game you can think of. So right now we've got some posters from him that we're doing giveaways for. So yeah, just come by the Discord and check it out.
Ryan, what are you up to?
Well, I just got back from vacation, so I got to get back on the stream wagon. But I'm probably still going to miss a few this week. I also got tapped to be on a podcast immediately. It's the next day after recording this. So The Ascent, I guess we're all going to be playing Wasted together.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to be getting drunk and playing co-op games on Saturdays. Make it to that. Wasted is the best show you're not watching.
Absolutely.
It's okay. It's a good show.
Well, what do you got going on that's better, Tyler? Top that.
Nothing. That's all I do. I do Wasted on Saturdays with Tom, and we get drunk and play video games. And we just so happen to be doing The Ascent on Saturday, starting at 6. All 4 of us are going to be playing The Ascent together, doing co-op and getting drunk, and it's going to be a good time. Also, I looked up, there are 3 developers on Cris Tales, so I just want to bring that up. Dreams Uncorporated Poppy works, and Sick. How that shit works, don't know. Anyways, that's all I got going on. Chris?
Yeah, you can catch me every Wednesday streaming Resident Evil. We'll talk about it off air. I think we were starting Resident Evil 5, but you just said you have a podcast, so maybe we're not starting Resident Evil 5 this week.
Yeah.
There's some extra modes in Resident Evil 4 we can look at, like Ada's little campaign and stuff for that stream. But yeah, you can catch me every Wednesday streaming that, and then listen to one of our other shows, Gotta Rank 'Em All. Me and Ryan host with a guest every week, ranking Pokemon on a giant list. It is absurd and fun and scientifically accurate.
That is the best show that you're not watching.
It's pretty entertaining, for sure.
Oh, thank you, Kaedhen.
Appreciate it.
Oh, Tom does Draw This Tuesdays at 6?
Mondays.
Mondays at 6. And then Convince Me
Every other Thursday.
every other Thursday at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Twitch.
Yeah, so catch that too.
/Spelunkers.
Yeah, we stream basically every day when we're in the rhythm of things. So
Yeah, it's
check
been
out.
really fucked up the last couple of weeks.
Oh, can I plug something that I forgot to plug?
yeah, absolutely.
The
Sorry, your
creator-
time has expired.
Yeah, the creator of the Great Game Debate, Jonah Gomez. Our next giveaway, he's playing Dark Souls 3 for the first time. He's never played any Souls games or Souls-like games, and the bet is, if you go to our Discord, we have a bet channel, so you can place a bet, and the bet is how long does it take him to kill the first boss, Champion Gundyr, or I guess that one's Iudex Gundyr. Champion Gundyr's recycle boss later, but so you just drop in the Discord, go into that channel, and put your prediction on how long it's going to take. It's wildly varying. We've got anything from like 10 minutes to an hour, so pretty fun. I think he's got to be streaming that like next weekend or something. So
That's twitch.tv/
I don't know. Probably Great Game Debate. Horrible. You'll find the link in the Discord. There you go.
All right. Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Next episode in, I guess it'll probably be a week from now because we're recording this a little bit late. We will be covering the entire rest of the game from Cinder City up through credits. So come join us for that. And then the next exploration. The next exploration.
Oh, fuck, they're going to send a cease and desist.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued so hard. The next exploration will be on the Iki Island expansion for Ghost of Tsushima. The whole reason we all met and started this thing was Ghost of Tsushima. We all really wanted to talk about it desperately, so we're excited to
Awesome.
talk about Iki.
We even have one after that, right?
Yeah, we have the next one planned after that too, but maybe we shouldn't overwhelm people. It's an old one though. It's retro as hell. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take it easy.